Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's another live worldwide broadcast. It's Monday, the 13th day of April, 2015. I'm your host, Alex Jones. We don't have any guests today because there is so much news to get to. There is just tons of news. I don't know where to start. Hillary Clinton is now billing herself as a simple person, a simple kind of man, a simple kind of woman. And so it's a gimmick. She's driving around the country in a van. A 1,000-mile trip she started in a van. She's a common person battling the 1%. Paul Watson has an article, Hillary vows to protect Americans from the 1% while being funded by the 1%. We need to really have an article correcting this, and we've done the math. They demonize the 1%. If you're making $300,000+ a year, you're in the 1%. And most people making $300,000 a year are the folks buying cars, buying houses, having large outlays of money in the service economy. Every study shows that. So the system is busy demonizing the 1%. If you look at the billionaires, most of which are globalists and insiders that make their money out of government deals and centralized monopoly capitalism, we've done the math before, but it's 0.0000, and then you can debate the numbers after that. You're talking about 5, 6 zeros, and then you start looking at the 6,000 people in the Kissinger Group's own analysis, Rothkopf's breakdown of it, that actually run the planet. And a lot of those 6,000 people only have, $50, $60, $70 million in the bank. And that sounds like a lot, but there is now talk about the first trillionaires. And Apple is set to become a $1 trillion company. And that's part of the devaluation of the currency. And if you had $100 million back in the 40s, that was like having $10 billion today. So, yeah, there's over 1,000 billionaires globally, and they're adding more all the time. There's the headline, got $1 trillion, the world's first trillionaires already in the making. And so I should probably do a whole special report on this. I guess I could just do it on air. Kind of what special reports are is here on the radio, a lot of times I just go off my memory, which is pretty accurate. But then I'll say, you know what, this is important enough. Let me pull all the proof of that and really back up what I'm saying, which is kind of what we do live time. If you're a TV viewer, you get an added dimension, and I'd say only 15% of our overall listeners are viewers. But that's really what you can't argue with, because I'm just sitting here making these claims. Our great crew in there aren't just switching, cameras and punching buttons. They're also searching what I'm saying and, staying on me. Sometimes I get things wrong. In fact, quite often, usually I just get a date wrong, or I flip numbers around, or they're like, no, Alex, it's not that guns are used 14 times more often to stop crime than be committing crimes. It's something like 47 times, and they'll pull up the new study. It all varies. The point is, we're a lot more accurate than what the establishment pundits are putting out. Most of the time, mainstream media itself is pretty darn accurate. It's just that those stories don't get any attention. But if something's getting promoted as the top story, if something's getting pushed as the big establishment drive, like carbon taxes, global warming, stuff like that, then it's super, super phony. But more and more, the public's not buying any of it, so even the establishment is now turning on Hillary Clinton. We'll break that down coming up. Parents in trouble again for letting kids walk alone. What's behind the nanny state? We'll break it down. The Guardian reports the government hides surveillance programs just because people would freak out. More mandatory vaccinations coming. Now they're going to withdraw your government services and not let you travel. I was driving into work this morning and just thinking about how huge a crisis we face with the criminal elite of the planet synthesizing and developing different criminal systems of fraud and manipulation. But at the same time, for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction in Newtonian physics. And we know that in this third dimension, that law is sound and true. And so it is the epic challenge of the globalist assault on their fellow man that will separate the boys from the men, the women from the girls, the pro-humans from the anti-humans, the parasites from the lovers, the builders. It is an incredible time to be alive. And the sophisticated attacks we face are legion. But number one, it is the prosperity of civilization and the Renaissance is the sea we swim in. And it is that unparalleled prosperity, even with 100 million plus people not working in this country and similar numbers around the world, that allows the great evil to grow. So it's a paradox. Many historians pointed out the cycle of you go into great tyranny, great oppression. There is sometimes hundreds of years, if not thousands, of dark ages and pain. Then, as things get worse and worse, a cadre of heroes emerge out of that incredible pressure. Some diamonds are created. That gives rise to a new civilization based on liberty and Renaissance and individual honor and strength and voting with your actions. And then you develop Renaissance. You develop great times of human enlightenment and acceleration of understanding and technological discoveries, compounding on discovery, milk and honey flowing through the streets. But within that ether of the milk and honey grows the disease of decadence, of slovenliness, and within the complexity of freedom and the complexity of its true diversity, within the giant structure of endless amazement, people become decadent, they become sodded, they become foppish, they become dandies, they become focused on petty things, and that's just the general public. Then the parasites hide in the complexity and begin to turn things around and wage war at a spiritual, instinctive level. The tyrants should love the producers. The parasites should love the dreamers and love the builders because that gives them a bigger coral reef ecosystem to live in. But no. They instinctively, spiritually have enmity and hatred for the builders, the constructors, because they're jealous of it and envious and know that you're much more powerful than them. At a spiritual level, you're just blinding light to them. Beautiful and huge and magnificent. And they hate you. They want to extinguish you. They want to live off the rubble of what we've built. And a microcosm of this is the internet. You say a microcosm, the internet's gigantic. No, it's tiny compared to the universe. It's but another life form, an interface with humans and machines to interact with each other, and through that, giving rise to new algorithms of mathematical life and connecting humans in ways that we never would have imagined. So any attempt to invert that against humanity is only going to break into a trillion pieces. But that's a positive look. The negative look back through the prism, through the looking glass, through the rainbow, is that we've got the whole world's knowledge at our fingertips. Incredible things, amazing photography, art, literature, access to just unbelievable communication. And we see IQs dropping physically. We see brain activity lowering across the Western world. And as it's introduced to the third world, precipitous drops as well, following the exact same line. We see a dull-eyed spectator, heartless, soulless spirit descending because no one then appreciates the information anymore. A book before the Gutenberg press would cost an average worker an entire lifetime's salary. A book was more expensive than a mansion 600 years ago. A fully illustrated book. It was power. Just 200 years later, there were bookstores all over the developed world just brimming with books and hundreds of thousands of authors fighting to intellectually put their ideas out, and just explosions of understanding and art and literature and the Renaissance. My God, it's beautiful. But out of that heart of freedom and beauty grew the military-industrial complex, grew all these other frauds that now are bigger and more dangerous than anything we've ever faced. Now, I'm going to get into all the news here today. It's just that at the bottom of the hour, I want to start more and more focusing on our ultimate destiny and having a debate about what that destiny is. I will not tell you what I would like humanity's destiny to be, because I'm still learning and seeing and marveling and just being blown away to be part of this time-space continuum. Now, coming up at the bottom of the hour, Rob Dew actually has it back there, captured from NASA in HD years ago. We have it. It's also one of the backgrounds for here. We're going to be playing some of the footage of the space station going around the Earth, and I'll be here basically narrating it for radio listeners. And we've got this new footage that I didn't get to yesterday from astronauts with GoPro cameras, just some of the amazing footage there, just to get us to start thinking about looking outside the planet, because we don't appreciate the planet. We don't appreciate all the freedom we already have that's being taken away. Why don't we look outside the world to realize just how small we actually are, and to get a feeling of the infiniteness of everything? Because within that, it doesn't make you feel small. It actually, in my experience, makes you feel big. And we can tie into that Zen timelessness that can bring us the deep strength that we need to transcend the global social engineers who on record wish to shutter the doors of perception and keep us dumbed down in a state of mindless, frivolous, medicalized tyranny, focusing only on what they are feeding us. Now, coming up, I'll get into all the news. It's just that this is a revolution of perception. I mean, when you finally step back and don't even get into the whole debate about Hillary, she's disempowered. She is a wicked, evil, corrupt political operative, the worst of the worst, when every indicator shows the American people, the people of the world, want true independence that are real and actually stand for something, and who aren't bought and paid for by the big 5 megabanks. But everything Hillary puts out is a lie within a lie. She claims that she's not with the 1%. Well, that's a socialist, social engineering, class warfare term. It's not 1% that are running things and creating monopolies. It is the 0.0000000. What did it come out to? 23. If you calculate 6,000 people globally that have more than half the wealth, then in almost every case, you study how they got it. They got it from inside deals or monopolies or scams or government contracts. And then to a man and a woman, almost all of them, are funding 24/7, taking your property, breaking up families, forcibly inoculating, taking your guns, driverless cars. It's this 6,000 people that Kissinger Group wrote about in Superclass that are the enemy. They are the globalists. They are the eugenicists. They are the trash. They are the problem. They've already built up existing systems, though, to where if you remove them, their underlings would step right into those positions, because systems of fraud have been built in the last couple hundred years based on gaming and manipulating, to where you couldn't just arrest all these people for treason and then give them jury trials and then have this stop. Because we've now had it hardwired into us where if you cut the tumors out, There's, the tumor's half the liver. The tumor's one of the lungs. The tumor's part of the heart. The tumor's in the brain. They've gotten all the pension funds, all the economies, all the systems based on government drug dealing, based on money laundering, based on all of it, to where you can only survive being part of that in the system, and then they selectively put you in one of their prisons as slave labor when they catch you involved at the lower level of their own paradigm. This is how you enslave people. You create artificial ecosystems of economy, you force people into it, and then you strip their rights because of it. Coming up in the next segment, mandatory vaccine bill passes hurdle in Sacramento despite passionate protests. It's going to the governor soon. They say they've got the votes to have it leave the legislature. And meanwhile, I like him killing carbon taxes, but boy, is he a tyrant. Abbott, this is not our Abbott in Texas, but the leader of Australia, government withdraws child care payments from anti-vaccine parents. And this is how I told you they'll come at us all over the world. 35 years ago, there were 6 vaccines on average. Now there's more than 50. They wanted to make it over 100. They're killing us. This is the takeover. This is the line in the sand, one of many. Stay with us. You're listening to The Alex Jones Show. InfoWars Live is what I call it. And if you're a radio listener, that's our main audience across the country. I want to thank you for tuning in on our AM and FM affiliates. Please spread the word about the broadcast in your area. If you're a business owner and want to be all in the fight against tyranny, put up a billboard. Put Infowars.com on it, the name of the station, the frequency, and when the show's on. Will your actions save the world? No, but your act of resistance with others will bring down the globalists. And we found nothing else in the world. This blows me away. That's why I don't want to be thanked. Nothing in the world at exposing the larger global panopticonic takeover of the technocrats, in their own words, than this broadcast. And I don't see myself as doing that good of a job. That's what freaks me out. If other folks, slicker, smarter, more focused, stood up and started taking action, who never thought of themselves in that role, you would be leaders that were just amazing. I'm like a little man compared to some of you that could be like Godzilla on the scene taking down the globalists. And I need you to take action. You might be a Hispanic. You might be Asian, you might be white, you might be black, you might be who knows. You're a human. We are all together, not in the socialist way, but in a true human way, fellow travelers. We're brothers and sisters together in this epic crusade for the good guys to win. People are ready to hear the truth, but the world's so complex on the surface. There's so many fake choices that the public doesn't really grasp why this is happening. But it is organized. I've read the books by Carol Quigley and Zbigniew Brzezinski and Henry Kissinger and David Rockefeller and Helmut Schmidt and Tony Blair and Prince Philip and Prince Charles and Rothkopf and Queen Beatrix and Prince Bernhard, and Adolf Hitler, and Joseph Stalin, and V.I. Lenin, and Marx and Engels. I've read hundreds and hundreds of their own books and writings. My God, it's horrible. Back when I had time, I'd see some evil globalist quote. I'd read what book it was supposedly in back before most books were scanned online. And then I would send off for it. I'd order it online, or I'd go to the library and get it just to turn to that. I remember hearing Rush Limbaugh when I was in high school, a high school senior. First year he was on in Austin, or second year, back when his show was a lot more hardcore. And I heard him say, Gloria Steinem is CIA, with leftists in the CIA, to destroy and enslave women and to get them in the workforce to pay taxes. He wouldn't say that today, at least not that I hear. When I have heard it, it's just isn't the same person. No offense, I mean, it's just true. And then I went home and I thought, I've seen that book, and it was on the bookshelf. My mother had bought it like 5 years before, and I went to the back and looked at the bibliography, and there it was, and there she was admitting it. And it was stuff like that. I would obsess on things to see if it was true. I mean, think about that. The modern feminist movement is CIA to destroy the family. This government is a foreign occupational enemy that runs the CIA. The 1947 was a coup by basically globalist intelligence that already ran OSS. Spectre basically ran the OSS. Their symbol is an octopus. They just don't call it Spectre. The globalists always describe themselves as an octopus or a hydra. You're like, wait a minute. Spectre, Hydra, all these movies. Yeah. They're criminal groups within institutions. That's why they want bigger governments. That's why they want power. Because through that, these combines, this 6,000 superclass, Spectre, can do whatever they want. And let me give you the news flash. They financed Hitler. Just got chills. Because they needed to have that opposition to make their eugenics takeover that'd be more sophisticated, look loving. Oh, we don't wear scary black uniforms. We're liberals. Look, a black man, a woman. Oh, take your shot. Oh, we won't let the racists stop you from getting your abortion or your vaccines. Oh, half the Hispanics are about to, was it like 30% of diabetes? Half of you are going to have it. Oh, you're dying. Oh, we love you. Take your Gardasil shot. We want the open borders so we can tax you and kill you. I mean, love you. But in the meantime, you'll vote to help our plan. And then see, once you get the globalist perspective, it's like, oh my God, you're not bored anymore. You are in a fantastic science fiction movie. And that's what I'm trying to get over to people, is that it's epic. It's epic. It's epic. It's epic. We're on a planet in deep space run by scientific crazies that want to kill everybody.
We're on the march.
We got to fight them.
Empire's on the run.
We can beat them.
Alex Jones.
Believe you can. You can. The power of their source. Think about creativity. Think about the dynamic human spirit that refuses to submit. Think about all the potentials for humanity and start thinking as a species, as a human race. And then all of these incredible triggers will be flipped in your mind, in your gut, in your soul, and you will then see the mission laid out for you in God's plan specific to you. Now, the globalists start at the end, not at the beginning with that. They say, we are collectivists. You must come together for humanity. You must give up the needs of the individual or of the few for the many, to quote the socialism from Star Trek. And on the surface, that rings true, but not if it's centrally directed. It always turns into a nightmare, even if it was meant well. Only individualism, then collectively coalescing in a destiny, will build things that really work and are fantastic and phenomenal. But there will always be haters who hate the magnificent civilization, the systems that we build as little expressions of God. Made in God's image, creators. People say, well, that's just the Bible. I don't believe some 3,000-year-old Old Testament. When you actually read the Old Testament, every other ancient script basically says the same thing. Whether you believe it's an allegory, a parable, a composite of things that happened, the point is that it's true. When you break it all down. And I sit back and I just marvel that the technocrats have been able to convince people from birth, sitting in front of television sets with the false reality that they were projecting, to accept it and give them their trust. And I liken it to putting a worm on a hook. The worm is juicy. The worm is good. The worm is nutritious. The worm tastes wonderful to the fish, but it's got a hook hidden inside of it. But the line looks invisible in the water. The creature, the entity on the other end, knows just how to make it look like it's a real worm going through the water. or a real minnow, and your desire for it makes you bite into that apple. And now you're pulled up into a whole new level of atmosphere. You're a fish out of water. And that's what the globalists seek to do, is build a proto-matrix of televisions and smart grids and surveillance and entertainment and control as a mask, as a bag over your head. But you never know it's a bag over your head as you're shipped to the global Guantanamo, as your soul is, because from birth, that hood is pulled down over your head and it's jacketed with TV screens. And they even actually have this now, filament plastic that has a television screen on it and projects images. They've had that for decades. But image it as a bag over your head with television images, 3D, virtual reality. And whereas if you try to put something like that over your head and never done it before, you'll get nauseous, you'll get sick, you'll hate it. But if you're born with a bag over your head, you will adapt to it. The globalists use our own adaptation against us. That's why they do things slowly, like binding a woman's feet when she's a little girl. She thinks it's beautiful. She thinks it's fashion. She thinks it's cool. It's really a social control used in Africa, Asia, and the Americas by the Mesoamericans to suppress the ruling class. You can't feed yourself. You've got to have foot-long fingernails. You can't be able to walk because you're a goddess. And look how beautiful your little feet are. The equivalent of a size 2 and a woman that should be a size 8. Deformed, ugly, gnarled feet of a beautiful young princess, but that way the king didn't have a woman getting too uppity and in his face. She can't even walk. And when he wants to come in and have sex with her to procreate because she's the daughter of the last king, he can. But she can't come bother him when he's out hunting lions or tigers or elephants or jaguars. And that's what feminism and all this modern garbage is binding your feet. Or in Africa, they didn't want the ruling class women to get too uppity, so they'd say, it's so beautiful that you've got rings around your neck. And they then have women with these foot-long necks where if they ever took the rings off, they'd die, they'd suffocate. And the women couldn't even walk or run, and so they just had to basically stay in the tent and shut up. Oh, but it's so stylish. Can we pull up African women with rings around their neck, please? Can we pull up bound feet, what they look like? Because when you understand this, you understand everything. And women still today do it. Women all over the world picked up this fashion in the last few hundred years to mimic the ruling class and all of their garbage. My great-grandmother was a very beautiful woman, but I remember going to the nursing home and seeing her and her deformed feet from cramming them into those shoes. Just like women know diamonds are semi-precious and are total garbage, but they want you to spend a year's salary buying them a rock so they can show off to other women. It's all trappings that didn't come from you. It's all oppression and bars and chains, and I want them off. I'm here telling you how the magic trick works. I'm here exposing it, not because I'm special, but because I am an animal, thank God. And I don't mean an animal in that I'm not sentient and special and made by the Creator. I mean, I've got my hardwired caveman instincts, and they see an enemy right away. They see traps. I'm the bass that sees the hook in the worm. I'm the bass that doesn't take the bait. Or I took the bait when I was a kid and got it ripped out of my mouth and got a scar to this day as I scoon the bottom. I know I'm going to look at something more than once before I bite into it. And I swim over to another school of fish and I say, I've bit into that before. They'll take you up to the top. I got pulled up in the hot, burning something, and it was all blurry around me and it was painful, but then it pulled out of my mouth. And I'm just saying, you don't want to bite into that, but see, bass can't talk. They can only learn by instinct and experience. And if that bass survives and is able to spawn and lay eggs or fertilize eggs, genetically, they've taken groups of wild bass and put them in tanks, and 15 generations later, bass know the silhouette of predator fish versus the silhouette of things that aren't predators. They instinctively know the shape, just like they've done 10 to 20 to 30 generations of chickens inside enclosed warehouse, and they fly above them. Generations later, the image of a triangle, they're not scared. The image of a circle, they're not scared. But the image of a hawk, they all run like bloody murder to the coop. They never saw a hawk. They never saw anybody get killed by a hawk. They never got told about a hawk. They know they already had it. You got it too. The battle programming, everything we need to crush this scum. These people are nothing. They want to take our programming and subvert it to bring us down. No, we're going up, you bastards. We're going all the way, and you'll never stop us. Do you understand? I hate your guts, and I hate seeing you feed on innocent people. I want to stomp your ass into the ground. I want to crush you, you chicken neck scum. You filth. You think I'm afraid of you? You can do nothing to me. And we're going to get your ass. Excuse me, I'm not going to get mad. I'm going to settle down. I just start thinking about what they do to people. All the little babies they've killed, how they're using babies in genetic engineering and for food flavoring, how they've degraded us and treated us like crap and tried to teach us that we're worthless. We're not worthless. You got to see these people for the lying scum that want to hurt you and your family. Let me tell you, if you caught somebody breaking in your house, and they got out of your house, say with your grandma's jewels that meant something to you, or your dead wife's jewelry, or whatever it was that was special, or maybe a fishing rod your grandfather gave you, whatever it is they stole. And then one day, you're at the pawn shop, and you see somebody there trying to hawk your grandmother's ring. Would you get mad? Yeah. But you wouldn't get mad if they put poison in the water on record to mutate our genetics and screw us up and lower our IQs. I mean, they're not just attacking one person. They are attacking our very species like they are demon aliens or something, okay? Let me tell you, these people got a lot of will. They hate you. And that's why I'm not even going to sit here and debate this stuff with people anymore. I mean, do the college kids at Media Matters getting orders from the White House really think that 99% of you aren't going to get that White House job down the road that pays anything? You're going to be hung out to dry. You're not even going to get any power out of selling out. And I mean, I guarantee you, you got cousins that are dying at young ages. You got neurological disorders in your family. You can see everything I'm saying is true. We're under attack. Why would you sit there and serve this? Oh, because I get it. Because of gay rights, you're all gay or something. All you are is just the brainwashed group who's having something dangled in front of them because everything's being taken to tell you there's some new right out here, or maybe you're a socialist and you hate rich people. You work for the richest people who want to destroy the ladder up for everybody else. I mean, it's so evil. And it's so easy to break out of this if you just pull back and go, what a joke, and admit you were conned, admit it was all a lie, and begin researching for yourself. But see, your subconscious mind has already been preconditioned. These subliminals are admittedly there. They're also overt, that you can't beat the New World Order. So your gut knows this is all true. And again, all your gut is your subconscious, right through your spinal cord to your intestines, basically communicating to the rest of your endocrine system what's going on. And so when you hear all this stuff and you're a new listener, you want to laugh at it or get upset or say this guy's nuts, it's because you're scared. You don't think you're powerful. You don't think you can change your environment because they fooled you to think that a hero has to defeat everybody by themselves. That archetype that they falsely push of one guy defeats everybody. That's not how it works. One guy can start a chain reaction that defeats the globalist, or there can be key players in that. But the real power is just you becoming aware and admitting it to yourself, and then it unlocks everything from that point. And then you'll see opportunities to expose this paradigm. But the biggest thing we can do is think about how beautiful and wondrous this planet is. I just saw a photo last week. It was a photo of the week out there all over the place of the volcano with the lightning striking it. I mean, simply over the top, beautiful. That's the type of majestic stuff that I have personally seen. One time I was out at the lake, and there'd been a thunderstorm, and I saw triple rainbows. But, of course, my iPhone was dead. It was one of the first iPhones that didn't charge well. It was triple rainbows with huge black blue clouds with lightning shooting out, and it looked like something out of a My Little Pony video game or something. It looked so fake. It was so beautiful. And the volcano I want, guys, is Joe Biggs' screensaver. He brought it over a few weeks ago, and I'd seen it in the news. That's the one I want. It's a still shot. It's a 35mm photo, or maybe digital, of the volcano and then the lightning striking. It's just epic. That's what I want to show you. But regardless, for TV viewers, I mean, the footage of the shuttle flying above the Earth and the time lapse of the storms and the cities and the oceans and the ports and everything, the footage of the Saturn rockets and decoupling, the footage of the GoPros they released just a few days ago, and then you mix into that all the horror and the garbage going on down here at the ground. It made me think of all this when Edgar D. Mitchell, one of the astronauts that went to the moon, and they did go to the moon, folks. People get mad at me about that, but they just didn't show you all the real stuff that got them there. I have that from high-level folks like Raymond Teague on record. You develop an instant global consciousness, talking about looking at the Earth from the moon, a people orientation, an intense dissatisfaction with the state of the world, and a compulsion to do something about it. Absolutely. A compulsion. It'd be an honor to be killed by the globalist or tortured. I don't want that to happen. My flesh is scared of it, but not my guts, not my soul. Man, I'm like, whatever. I'm not afraid at all. I'm going to read the quote without ranting. You develop an instant global consciousness, a people orientation, an intense dissatisfaction with the state of the world, and a compulsion to do something about it. From out there on the moon, international politics looks so petty. You want to grab a politician by the scruff of the neck and drag him a quarter million miles out and say, look at that, you son of a bitch. I hate to talk like that, but sometimes you got to, just like the astronaut did. Look at that. Or let's say we didn't go to the moon. You don't believe that. Look at a newborn baby. Look at the stars at night. Look at little fish down in a pool and little crabs in an eddy pool, on the West Coast, or whales, or the wind through the bamboo, the sea. Just look at your grandmother, your grandfather. Think about all the people that taught you things, just all of it, and your connection to all those people that come before you. It's magic. And then you look at Times Square and the globalist attempt to induct us into false realities to then teach us. So people see aliens blowing up the planet. They see thousands of murders a week simulated, all these video games. And then they can't differentiate the real epic things, the real over-the-top, huge things that are going on versus all the petty false stuff, and the brain gets confused and then doesn't know what's a real threat, what isn't a real threat. Yeah, that's the photo right there of the volcano and the lightning. Incredible. We'll put that full screen if we can. Oh, man, look at that. Volcano starts erupting, shooting up ash. It causes static electricity, and then boom, lightning. Imagine the ancients seeing something like that in Greece or in Italy and then saying, I saw Vulcan up there with his hammer building weapons for the gods. And even if that was just an archetypal vision they were having and those gods didn't exist, it didn't matter, because now look what we've risen to. What we've built would be more fabulous than anything the gods of old humans could even dream. And it's because we have such potential, the enemy, who seeks to be God with a big G, wants to pull us down, the children of God. And these are the big secrets. We need to transcend them. We need to see how small they are, what jokes they are, and then have courage against them and not be afraid of being demonized or attacked, because we have the light of the universe with us coming into the darkness. We have God's light. We will save humanity. I intend to open the phones in the next hour, and then there's a special report that's extremely powerful that is just being completed as we speak, that we're going to air at the bottom of the third hour. It's the 1-year anniversary of something Harry Reid and the Occupational Government Homeland Security hopes you don't remember or see. And that's the feds aiming M4s and 308 rifles, not just 223, at hundreds of peaceful people who marched in on their own land to free cows that were being allowed to die. Again, they had range rights going back to 1877. They ran off 34 other families. He was the 35th family. He would not leave. They raised the fees to a point you could not pay him. The fees didn't start till the 60s and were very low and reasonable. That's how it always starts. Just like I meant to talk about this. If you watch television from the 40s and 50s, it's all got very good pro-America, pro-family messages. People ask why that happened. Well, the social engineers admit they made it very legitimate, like the worm on the hook, to look tasty, to look good. And then they began the social engineering to now it's nothing but what you would call deviance. And by deviance, they just want you to deviate from the normal human program so you never have rites of passage that activate memories. That's what rites of passage is. When I was younger, I hated ritual. I'd say, why are the cops or the firemen blocking the street for Memorial? Why are people marching? Why do people get into Texas so much? Well, it's because it's all we got. And then at those times of ritual, humans have done that so much that same way that's why when you're there at a ritual, you start having all these weird feelings and things because it's activating memories. It's unlocking information. And it turns out the elites all know this. Carl Jung, Edward Bernays, Sigmund Freud, all of them. But that's the real psychology they're using to control us, not the pop psychology they give us, where they're now announcing a mental illness if you're healthy and eat like a paleo diet and don't like bad food. I mean, I wish I could be that neurotic like the folks I know. They're like 50, 60 years old, look like they're 40, eat great big meals, enjoy themselves, are super happy. These are the coolest people I know. They say you're mentally ill. Why healthy eating may be the new eating disorder. They've got a name for it. Orthorexia nervosa. And they're now announcing they're going to take your kids if you give them these diets. And they're now announcing forced inoculations. They're going to take your kids from Australia to England to the U.S. and California. And they're saying if your kids even play in your backyard below the age of 10, they will be taken, mainstream news. This is a prison system. I mean, this is happening. And it's all done to keep you safe. Michelle Obama is going to tell your kids what to eat to keep you safe. But she doesn't say don't eat GMO, don't eat all the additives. Oh, no. Keep the calories low is the answer. So then the kids are basket cases eating stuff people get better in Supermax. Before I end this hour, if you believe in what we're doing, I'd spread the word. This is teleprompter free. Go in with the research and go in with my guts, go in with my soul, fighting as hard as I can to reach out and activate humanity, to dream bigger, and to get outside the box and see that a bunch of criminals have taken over. We're running a special for the rest of the month where you can get the 3 products that help me get in a lot better shape and supercharged and accelerated my slow weight gain for 45 days before I had surgery. I lost under 6 pounds but gained muscle. So it's probably more than 6 pounds actually lost because muscle weighs a lot more than fat. And you can see pictures of me with my shirt off. Not that you're into that, but you can see really the weight loss over 45 days at InfoWarsLife.com. You can get Oxy powder to flush out your intestines, Super Male Vitality, and Survival Shield X2 proprietary Nation iodine. All 3 together with free shipping. Or you can buy those individually with free shipping at InfoWarsLife.com or InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139. And also send that link on to friends and family so they can check it out and have free will to order it as well. Then your purchase supports the operation. It's a 360 win. And that's the only thing I push is 360 wins for everybody. Stay with us because I know it's the key to everything.
Thank you for listening.
And it's not just because I do it because I know it works. I do it because my gut likes it. I will not screw anybody over and have it coming to them, to quote Tony Montana. You know, I'm going to play the Crazy Like Alex Jones extended cut. I'm going to come back, actually hit the news that I've mentioned but haven't covered yet. It's epic. It's very important. I overuse that word, but everything really is epic right now. And then we are going to open the phones up and take your calls for the transmission. We have a special report on the 1-year anniversary of the occupational government folding and backing down at Bundy Ranch. That's coming up. David Knight will be in studio with some brief commentary with me as well at the bottom of the hour in the 3rd hour. But here he is. Part of Crazy Like Alex Jones.
Hello, this is Hank Hill, and I'm telling you what, you need to listen to Alex Jones.
Yeah.
Infowars.com.
He's the T-Rex of political talk. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
Let's just go through this stack right now. 21 pages of Obamacare tax instructions. IRS demands shared responsibility for payment and says it's in their prerogative, of course, whether they're going to start garnishing wages, grabbing bank accounts, or holding back tax returns. Of course, they promised you that wouldn't happen. This is a government under Obama that ships guns to the Mexican drug cartels. You think they're going to gang rape you? Oh, yeah. Everything is awesome. Everything is fantastic when you're part of a team. Everything is wonderful when you're part of the dream. Will the fact that Hillary is a lesbian have any bearing in the 2016 elections? I'm just wondering. I'm just throwing that out there as well. I can wear this as a leotard. I mean... Oh, my God. Oh, my God. We're being invaded by South American walruses. It's ridiculous. The government is shipping in 42,000 people. They're bigger than Jabba the Hutt. This country is so screwed up, man. I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but it's reaching a proportion. If you're a radio listener, you can't see him. Oh my God, look at this. Oh God, I don't think I've ever laughed this hard on air. Oh my God, it's so ridiculous.
Alex Jones may sound crazy, but still has 300 million YouTube. Well, he had 300 million people that have watched him on
800
YouTube.
million.
And that sort of fringe, arch-conservative, deeply, I think, racist strain is being tapped into. I just got called racist by MSNBC. And I wasn't hurt that they called me names myself. I was hurt that they were so evil. That they were such a pack of willful crooks preying on America with their trendy, non-threatening voices and ironic glasses, all meant by PSYOP generals to annihilate this country. So you traitors claiming I'm a Ruski agent, say it to my face and I'll break your nose. I'm sick of it. I will stomp your head in the ground, you traitorous maggots, while we go under Obamacare, North American Union, conquered by European banks, announcing our kids don't belong to us, total bondage, total surveillance, and you want to shoot your mouth off about me being a Ruski agent. I will stomp your head in the ground. It's the time of the season to get raped, because you like to lay down. Yay, yay, yay. A nation of sheep will be ruled by what? Wolves. Oh, wolfies. They do investigations and say, oh, there are no FEMA camps. Because they're not called FEMA camps. They're called Emergency Centers Establishment Act. They're called Civilian Inmate Labor Camp Program. They're called Rex 84, Continuity of Government under National Police Stabilization Force, RAND Corporation. I'm just giving you bam, 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 the plan.
In every tragedy, the InfoWars Alex Jones world thinks they see a conspiracy. Alex Jones should be disqualified from participating in Republican Party politics.
That's right. No one will go to the New York Times or care that it's even admitted that the government's hatching most of the terror plots. Or people will say, what are you doing? Endorsing radical Islam, saying it doesn't exist? I didn't say that. I said our criminal government is arming. We're going to be right back with the actual song. Stay with us. Protecting you. But see, this is a normal response to being gang raped by criminals.
I want to be crazy, crazy like Alex Jones.
Oh, man.
And have enough gumption without a presumption to know what's going on. Then I can throw bananas at the global clowns and hear aristocratic moans. I want to be crazy, crazy like Alex Jones. I went looking one day on the internet just to see what I could find. When I heard this talk show maniac, he was proudly speaking his mind. It was real wild, but the more I heard, it made a whole lot of sense to me. I want to thank you, Alex, for opening my eyes and helping the blind to see. I want to be crazy, crazy like Alex Jones. And have enough gumption without a presumption to know what's going on. I can throw bananas at the global clowns and hear aristocratic moans. I wanna be crazy, crazy like Alex Jones.
Up and away!
The talk show host is Alex Jones. He's a conspiracy theorist. He's kind of like the guru, the king of the conspiracy theorists.
The TSA has a thankless job enforcing procedures we all tolerate through gritted teeth. A popular target.
No kidding. Who else wants a job groping men, women, and children all day?
All the talking heads on the TV screen with an arrogant sophistication. Talking about what's been...
Challenge Alex Jones to a boxing match, show up with a semi-automatic that you got legally, and pop him.
I'd love to see that. In uniform.
1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms.
I probably own more than 50 firearms. Many of them have increased in value 2, 3, or even 4 times. I sleep very comfortably.
One of the least attractive groups of demonstrators I've ever seen.
Then I can throw bananas at the global clowns and hear aristocratic
I am David Mentrus.
Crazy, crazy like that.
To be quite clear, David Mentrus from the third.
Yeah, I wanna be crazy, crazy like Alex Jones.
We'll be right back in Overdrive. Infowars.com. See you this Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. Central. Telemundo. Muchas gracias.
The Genesis Communications Radio Network.
Sorrow. You know, Darren McBreen made that a few months ago. One of our great newsmen, but also editors. He's a journalist. I guess I hired him away from what was a Scripps Howard News Service. He's a great editor. And he put that together. I thought it was one of the most epic things, to overuse that word again, but that is powerful, over-the-top things he'd made. And then we just put it in the computer and never played it. So we'll air the entire thing coming up at the start of the next hour. If you missed it, because we also cut part of it out because of the break. I'm going to air the Crazy Like Alex Jones 2.0. And the point in airing that was I was calling for the old one. It's like 5 years old. Just the original song. And they said, oh, you mean the new one? And I went, oh, I forgot about that. Did we ever air that? So that is coming up at the start of the next hour. And then we have an extremely powerful historical video. That is the day the feds blinked. The second shot heard around the world wasn't bullets, but it was a shot of fear. As the people stood up and rode up against feds with guns saying, we will shoot you. David Knight was there marching at the head with his video camera, with Josh Owens. And I want to get both of these men in here at, say, 20 after next hour to talk a little bit before we air this video that Rob Jacobson just put together 1 year later. Because that's why Harry Reid came out and said, these are terrorists, you will pay, you will fall. Well, now he's fallen on his face, literally, and he's not running again, and he now is acting like he's suddenly senile. And I'm sad for folks when they start losing their mind, but I'm not going to cry when Harry Reid drifts off into oblivion and his sons with all their Chinese and globalist New World Order insider contracts, you know, they'll still do fine stealing people's property, in my view. So that's coming up today. This is the 1 year anniversary of the April 13th event. Now, remember, the globalists love to blow stuff up and burn down churches and bomb federal buildings and things like that on April 19th or April 20th. That was their way of staging the Boston bombing to blame the Patriots, and it went sideways, so they changed the story to Islamicists and burned some infiltrators, young infiltrators they'd hired. Pretty sick how they did that. Speaking of burning young infiltrators, I'm going to get, coming up at the bottom of the hour, into a story out of the Houston Chronicle. And that deals with the police officer who was Cop of the Year. And I had it here in my stack, guys. Just print it again since I can't find it. Thanks. Cop of the Year got caught trying to sell 5 kilos of cocaine, supposedly. Now, the Houston Police Department is so scary. Probably one of the most scary police departments in the country. So infiltrated with hitmen and CIA and you name it, because they're down on the border. I mean, I've got so much intel in the Houston Police Department that I bet you a lot of money that this Cop of the Year wasn't paying his cut up above him, made the CIA mad, asked for more money like Noriega did, Houston police officers face up to life in prison over drug charges. And he was Cop of the Year. Cop of the Year in Houston, one of the biggest police departments in the country. Supposedly, he got busted by the Drug Enforcement Agency, along with the FBI and the Houston PD, trying to sell 5 kilos of cocaine. The DEA, it came out in Congress in '97 with the Inspector General of the CIA. It's been all over the news since the 60s. It's a fact that the Drug Importation Agency, better known as the Drug Enforcement Agency, that the Drug Importation Agency brings in more drugs than the CIA. The CIA just kind of oversees it. I mean, the DEA is the most criminal organization. They're worse than the ATF. Now, there are DEA agents that actually fight real drug dealers, but they're compartmentalized. It came out 3 years ago in the Chicago Tribune that they had the #2 of Los Angeles, and he walked into court and in English said, I'm CIA trained, U.S. military, trained here, trained there, trained at School of the Americas, blah, 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 code name. And the lawyers get up, the feds go, shut this down. They went behind closed doors. Judge comes out and goes, release him. He's a U.S. agent. He comes in and goes, code names. I mean, this is all in the news. I'm running operations U.S. Army code, 07543. And they're like, whoa, 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 shut it down. I mean, that's all any of this is. And I'm just tired of it. I mean, you look at the Mexican drug cartels, of the 5 big cartels, 3 of them, 2 of them, are run out of the Pentagon. And I know folks, I'm just going to leave it at that are in the regular army who went down to Mexico to supposedly fight drugs and basically resigned. And said they wouldn't be part of it. And they wouldn't tell me, but they just said, look, it's everything you talk about. I don't need to tell you what it was. It's secret. I'm not going to tell you, but you already know. And they've got those Eurocopters that have the back that comes down. Just squadrons of them. I mean, it's just full-on war. U.S. troops dying, Marines, Army. They've got Air Force intelligence involved. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Grid spraying the fields they don't own of marijuana. I mean, it is just full out. Just like in Colombia, it's even in Reuters that we don't spray the good coca growers. We spray the communist ones and know where theirs are, and then our buddies are GPS coordinated where they don't spray those. And the argument is, well, we've got to control the drugs or bad guys will get the money from it. Same thing in Afghanistan. This is how corrupt the system is, and we need to stop being like children. We need to stop it. And I'm not here endorsing the drug culture, but the filthy drug culture came out of making the drugs illegal. So, yeah, you got unsavory people involved in drugs. And I don't think they should be legalized. They should be decriminalized. And they should be treated as a disease. Europe has done this in most areas, and their crime rates, you can pull it up, has dropped over half. And they just put up billboards saying, not cool, just pathetic, showing, a woman all skinny with tracks all over her arms. Just like putting someone on a respirator on cigarette packs. It's the same deal. Nicotine is more addictive than cocaine. It hits the same receptors in the brain. Do we arrest people for that? No, we don't. Is smoking good? No. Is using heroin good? No. Is using cocaine good? No. But it has to be decriminalized. There's Der Spiegel. It's working. Portugal, 12 years after decriminalizing drugs. And then Der Spiegel investigation shows a massive drop in crime. I remember reading that article years ago. Is that the one where it said 50%? I mean, I've read countless articles, but how far does it say it dropped? They're violent crime, everything. And there's a map there showing crime going down all over the world. The point is that they know what they're doing. And then now the cops want to asset forfeiture, seize your car if you're speeding too fast. Or there have been cases where a guy pulls over and whistles at a hot chick and says, get in, let's go have a good time. And she says, you going to buy me dinner? We're going to have fun? Yeah, boom, handcuffs. And if she was a prostitute, the point is we got government raping everybody of their money. We got DynCorp and others caught running child kidnapping rings. I tell you what, after you've arrested all the big bankers for laundering the money and after you've, done all this, then you can keep drugs illegal if you do that. You know what? If you do like Singapore, where really nobody's on drugs, they made the decision in Singapore and other areas to just not have it. And they execute you if you're caught with it, and there is no drugs there. But see, the government's not involved in it. They made the decision to not want to be conquered by drug dealing, because that's how the British took over China and broke it in 12 or 14 parts, depending on what era. China made drugs illegal, but then they shipped them in and got them past them, and then over the next 50 years, corrupted the country, took it over. So you either have zero drugs or you legalize them all. You don't have it either way. You either execute people for smoking pot or you legalize it. Decriminalize them.
Like an angel, walk like an angel, talk like an angel.
Yeah! Score! Goal! Goal! All right, I shouldn't have been playing that crazy like Alex Jones thing earlier. If you're a radio listener, you go, what on earth is he doing? You'll have to see it. I didn't mean to start talking about Hillary Clinton right there. I was about to get into more news. Actually, part of it is Hillary news. And then they projected this giant Hillary up behind me on the TV screen. Hold on, I am just out of control today. Excuse me. I'm in a really good mood, though. That's what matters. I am flailing in here, though. I'm good, guys. We don't need to clean it up. It's spilled on the floor. It's just water. Oh, my God, it's just water. Filtered water. Don't tell James Randi. There's nothing kookier than filtering water. Have you heard? Let me tell you, it gets even worse. You heard of this Alex Jones guy? Yeah. He sells water filters. Oh, I know. Whoa, these people are nuts. He said something even worse, though. I heard him say over and over again. He even sells a bumper sticker that says it or he gives it away free. 2 + 2 = 4. I mean, you talk about a terrorist, racist fruit ball. Oh, yeah, he's a fruit ball. I'm in a good mood right now. I had a bunch of rants earlier about humanity's going to defeat the enemy, and I know we are, and it's going to be one hell of a bloody ride, but I tell you, it's going to be good. I know humanity's going to make it. It just makes me feel so good. It really does, to be rooting for humanity, to not be a bucket of lying, parasitic filth, masquerading as a humanitarian, like people like Hillary Clinton. Let's just get to her, and then I'll get into all the forced inoculation news, and don't let your kid play in the backyard, we'll take them away news, and climate globalists get behind Elizabeth Warren as they see Hillary cratering for their carbon taxes, and the government. An incredible article out of The Guardian about why they lie about surveillance. It's like the FBI 2 years ago goes, we don't know what all these cell towers are. They must be hackers. They might be smugglers. They might be, no, that's it. The FBI is there. And then, of course, all you got to do is follow where the wires go and see the code and then look it up. And the police were like, we don't know who's the R either. And, of course, we got the secret documents and others from insiders in Seattle, and it was Stingray. They've sold tens of thousands of them to the police. And it's like 40,000 have been sold the last few years to police to just grab everything you got, steal it, listen to it, whatever. Cops are using it on their wives. I mean, it's just a pell-mell raping of due process and freedom. And, the ATF does it, and the DEA on record just takes every phone call record and then creates false court cases. They call it structuring, just total admission of total fraud in the federal courts. Total evil. I mean, just unbelievable. And so 2 years later, the feds are like, okay, they're ours. Yeah, and we pay for grants. We'll pay. Even in small towns, I was seeing the news, there's like $500,000 grants to buy small towns. That's 40 of them. 40. The cops are driving around with scanners listening to the cell phones. I mean, it's totally illegal. But see, that's what this is. It's a revolution of criminal activity. But even the low-level people doing it aren't even that bad. They just don't know it's illegal. Because the higher up, it's like those memos a month ago from ICE, from Homeland Security going, now, if you pull over an illegal, they're drunk driving, and even if they kill somebody, it's not your fault, let them go. They didn't show any code. They said, contrary to what people believe in law, it's actually not your job to stop someone who's committing a crime. Actually said that. CBS News. Of course, the code shows it actually is aiding and abetting, and you're now part of it if you consciously know. I mean, if you could say you didn't know they were drunk, and you kind of knew, but you didn't, you kind of got other stuff to do, they're not that drunk, you got something more serious to deal with, then you weren't aiding and abetting. But if you know they're drunk and then you let them go, no, and they kill somebody, you're an accessory to murder. And everybody knows that, and that's what the code and the law and common sense shows. All right, I'm going to settle down and hit the news when we come back. Hillary, everything, it's all coming up. There's another name for her, but I can't say it on air. Stay with us. Does it make you crazy to not want Pepsi to use baby parts in their flavoring? Does it make you crazy to not want humanoids, babies, to be grown up in utero of cows or have goats that are part spider that make body armor? Does it make you crazy to not want Protogen to plant live pharmacological corn that grows HIV in Texas? AP, look it up. Does it make me crazy to say kids should be able to play in their backyard and not be taken away from their parents? Does it make me crazy to read the inserts of the vaccines where every one of them says it can kill you or brain damage you or give you all the side effects we see in the children that take them? Does that make me crazy? There it is, edible HIV vaccine. New Scientist. And then we made a big deal out of it, and then they had guys in spacesuits up by Bush's ranch. It was 20 miles from there, but we went up there, and they burned the fields. It was on the news. They had helicopters land. People described it. They said it was like a Close Encounters of the Third Kind or something because, all the Army guys and everything. Somebody decided the government authorized HIV to be planted, and it's HIV virus. And then I went on Coast to Coast AM. It wasn't George Norrie because, George would just look up what I said. It was another host. And the host wasn't mean, but he starts freaking out and he goes, now, come on. This is like years after it'd been in the news. He goes, that's not true. They don't have pharmacological crops where, the crop has live this or that. I said, no, they've got them that produce whatever they want. You can program a plant, especially corn, to basically grow human blood cells in it almost. I mean, it's that advanced. And then he went, oh, my God, after about an hour, somebody sent in the link to it. And I said, I told you. I mean, I'm not crazy. I'm nobody. I mean, I know about pharmacological crops. I've told this story probably 60, 70 times. I'll tell it again. I know right when it happened because my wife was pregnant with our first child, so it was 12 years ago. And I went into Conan's Pizza down the street, and I know because the guy got in my face so much that I was mad. I won't get into that part of the story. There's just nothing to be ashamed of, but it shows how greedy I am. I ordered one pizza for her, but I knew that she wasn't home yet. She wanted one, and then I ordered a little one and ate it and played video games and drank some beers. And I was so mad I bit into the fork and cracked his tooth. But I'm kind of flashing back to what happened there. And this guy comes up, and he pokes me in the back. And I'm up there ordering the pizza, and I was what's going on? He goes, man, I used to really like you, but you're a liar. There's no such thing as goats that are part spider. And this is like 2002, and I go, I was like, yeah, man, it's true, but just whatever. And I turn and he pokes me again. And I turn around and I go, what the hell's your problem? He goes, I told you it's lying, and I don't like liars. And the guy wasn't even that big, and I was like, dude, you better watch it. I go, don't touch me again. I shouldn't say on air what I said to him, but I told him, my standard thing, I'll break your neck. I don't mean that literally, but I said, dude, you don't want to get your neck broken, okay? Just don't touch me again. And the guy's like, whatever. Classic bully, backed off as soon as he goes, whatever, man, I just really used to believe in you, and you lie about that. And he goes, I have a degree in biology from UT, and there's no such thing. And I went, when is it, from 1977? He goes, yeah, it's around there. And I went, well, dude, we ain't in Kansas anymore. That's exact words. You know how much I say that. I perseverated. And then I brushed past him, went over, sat down, got mad, cracked my tooth. I'll never forget, I've never bitten into a utensil, and I was eating the pizza, and I snapped it, and it broke my tooth. My tooth's like bleeding and everything. I had to go get a cap put on it. But he won, see? He got me mad and made me break my tooth. London Guardian, Synthetic Biology and the Rise of Spider Goats. And, that's why I get up here and I say, Chicago Tribune reported that the number 2 in Los Zetas was really Army CIA, and he was let off when he declared national security by the judge. People are like, oh, shut up, you liar. I don't like our military. And I like keeping our military not criminal. They play all these games. I was thinking about that last night. That I have to get up here and explain that I'm not against our military when I say we don't need the military training for gun confiscation. The military doesn't want a gun confiscate. It's unconstitutional. It's illegal. It'll start a civil war. But that's what the Army puts out in press releases they've been putting out, that we're anti-military. Well, you know, I haven't made a big deal out of this. We probably need to on the Nightly News or with an article. They didn't want us in this dirty bomb exercise that Joe Biggs wanted to go to. I said, don't go to that anyways, once they already said we're not welcome. Because I said, it's on base and it's off of base, and they'll just change it if you come. And they're always doing stunts where they'll have some legitimate dirty bomb drill to make what they're doing look legitimate when the real stuff goes on behind the scenes. Well, I was wrong, but it turns out listeners got the footage. They were training for riot control and rounding up and arresting people. So it looks like with all these exercises, almost all of them are now not even the cover story. They just put that out in the news. Then you go there, and there's not a dirty bomb exercise that we have or saw. It's a roundup exercise. So I don't know. You know, I want to go to your phone calls. I'm kind of wound up today. I've covered some of the news, but I haven't gotten to your calls either. I need to give the number out. The toll-free number to join us on air. And all I ask is you get a good telephone and that you are ready on point and that you support Hillary Clinton. That's right. This first round of calls today is only. Please listen, because we can't get them on air if 100 people call in, which happens. We have to say, no, this is for Hillary lovers. And if you want to do some satire, I realize you're going to sneak through. If you want to call in as a fake Hillary supporter, I will then mimic, and we'll do an NPR piece together, impromptu, whoever wants to call in. Oh, my gosh, all these racists don't like her. Oh, yeah, oh, let me act pseudo-intellectual. Oh, I'm so intelligent right now. Oh, yeah. So if you want to call in and you're a Hillary supporter, 800-259-9231. 800-259-9231. 800-259-9231. I'm going to run through some news and then go to your phone calls. Now, I see the phone's loaded there, so I hope one of you is really a Hillary supporter. You know how to dial a phone? You know how to dial that Carlos Slim phone so the billionaire kingpin down in Mexico gets more money? 800-259-9231. Let's make Carlos Slim some money on the phone calls and the phones themselves. Just everything goes to some kingpin under their system. 800, see, just everything is the kingpin. 800-259-9231. But that's what it's about, living in a gang society, whereas you are a minion of a kingpin. Your local racial or religious kingpin. It's like John Gotti would hand out free pizzas and have a fireworks display on 4th of July for the community that he fed off of. Yeah, I shake your business down and make you pay me protection money. But I buy you a pizza once a year. We hijacked the truck in New Jersey with the mozzarella. Hijack another. You know what? We couldn't find a flour truck to hijack. I'm paying for the flour. I think the whole neighborhood $500. We hijacked a meat truck. You know, and you can. The cops actually hijacked it for us. That's who we got working for us out on the street. And, that's how it is. In fact, in New Jersey and areas of New York and in D.C., you can look it up in the newspaper. The police actually do the most of hijacking in uniform. And they do the hijacking with the trucks. What are the trucks? The tow trucks. Tow trucks. I own that big business, tow trucks, and it's business good. As long as, cops demand a little bit larger cut than our boys do normally, but you give them a little piece, and they like to go to McDonald's parking lots and just tow legally parked cars, and somebody comes out and complains, they put a gun to their head. Now, one time the Washington Times picked up on that 6 years ago, and we might have to do a little something to them, eh? But let me tell you, once we get your guns, America, we're going to do whatever we want to all of you. You understand that? And you're going to bend over and you're going to beg for it because you're a nation of cowards and you like your free pizza, don't you? You like your subsistence living on a welfare check? Then let me tell you what you're going to do, Mac. You're going to take every vaccine we got, even when your kids have convulsions, and stop bleeding out their noses. And then you're going to take your kid when they die when they're 10 years old after all the vaccines and the poison, and you're going to come into our funeral home, and you're going to buy a casket. A little girl, we got nice little pink ones for you. Nice little pink casket, little white flowers. And then we'll have a little race where you can buy a T-shirt to enter it to stop the autism and all the neurological disorders. And we'll never ask why everybody's dying. You'll just come running our race. We make money off that too. And if you get in our way, we'll have women with short haircuts lecture you. And nobody wants to be lectured by them. They're the bosses. They might even call you racist. Used to, people were worried about us shooting them or burning down their business. Now, we're respectable and wear suits and ties. And now, you don't want Rachel Maddow or Hillary to see you as bad. Because that's why the strong nation bowed to the bossy women. I'm all over the map today, and I want to get a real response of CJ in there. CJ or Joe, whoever else wants to come on the mic. This is unscripted. Marcos Morales, whoever wants to, Nico, who wants to, am I a little out of control today? I mean, is it all right I'm having a little bit of fun here, CJ?
I said before, it's real life.
What do you think a new listener thinks, though, listening to this?
Oh, they probably think you're crazy.
You think so? Well, good. Good. I'm going to cover some crazy news.
The rules drives you crazy.
It will. Let's hear what Marcos Morales has to say. In the number 7 car, the number 1 enduro bike champion on the planet, Marcos Morales. This weekend only at the Super F1 track outside Austin, Texas. He's actually not, folks, but it just shows you he can hype stuff up. Marcos Morales in the number 711 car.
I came in earlier to help out with the radio show today, and I had no idea that it was going to turn into Hillary assaulting crazy like Alex Jones episode. I'm just happy.
Marcos, how many years have you been here? How many years have you been here?
It'll be 3 years, or since 2011 when we launched the nightly news.
Yeah,
I showed up a couple of weeks before that. Or a couple of months. And then...
Is it better or worse than you thought it would be?
There was one day I was here a couple of months before we launched the news, and you asked me if I thought everybody here was crazy. And you gave me a look, and I said, of course. This is my kind of crazy, though. I was all in. I love it.
That's awesome. Yeah, we've broken our conditioning. We're off the reservation. We ain't coming back. Hallelujah. Good to hear from you guys. Pop in whenever you want. I'll try to get the guys to be part of the show. All right, let me get serious here. I think there's a phone system boot problem. We keep having that, on my computer in here. It was full of callers and it went down. So before we go any further here, let me just go through the headlines. I think that's probably a better thing to do. Speaking of not being on the reservation, mandatory vaccine bill passes first hurdle in Sacramento despite passionate protest, and now it's going to be moving through the legislature and on to the governor. They say they have the votes now in the full House, and it passed by 6-2 Wednesday out of committee. But who needs state governments in Australia? They just have the Prime Minister come out, Tony Abbott. Government withdraws child care payments for anti-vaccine parents. Parents who are conscientious objectors to childhood vaccinations will have their child care and family tax payments stopped. See how that works, where you're supposed to get tax exemptions on some things, and see they're going to use money for social engineering. From January 1st next year, as the federal government attempts to crack down on anti-vaccination movement. That's right, the public wakes up and says these don't protect us, they're dangerous, and the answer is we won't let you fly, we won't let you go to school, we'll hold back. But I guarantee you, folks, the elites over there aren't taking them either. There's loopholes. Notice there's still a religious. Prime Minister Tony Abbott announced on Sunday a loophole would be closed to stop payments to parents worth $15,000 per child. Of course, it's going to be a lot more to deal with that brain damaged child. Or, most kids, it won't hit them that hard. It's meant to kill them later. You'll be 60 and your kid will be 35 and they'll have a huge brain tumor. But hey, you would have got the money, so why not just say, hey, can I kill my kid and can you buy their organs, Abbott? Abbott, government to announce anti-vaccine parents will lose benefits. So there's that news. Meanwhile, pioneering trials using man-made DNA begin in battle against cancer, Ebola, flu, and HIV, with scientists saying the treatment could be the key to defeating them. That's why they want to grow the DNA or the RNA of HIV in corn to then inject it into you. And they admit that here. That's why I thought of that today. It's back in the news today. This is what the Daily Mail. Pioneering new treatments. Experts have worked out how to create strands of artificial DNA, each mimicking a different killer disease. Oh, how nice. And injecting them into patients. The idea is the new patients' immune systems will then be able to recognize the threats and eliminate them. Of course, this, you know, the original polio shot they admit gave over 100 million Americans cancer. Look it up. And a bunch of them died from it, tens of millions. But, hey, it's a side effect that killed more people than the polio. But it doesn't matter. It's your government trying to put something in you. Think about that. One of the companies behind the technique has begun trials in OVO in humans after strong lab results. The American company is using the method to attack flu, Ebola, and certain types of cancer, as well as HIV and hepatitis. Experts have already started trials on female patients to see if they can stop them developing cervical cancer. Of course, then they can also give you cancer with this stuff, and God knows what else will happen. I mean, it's just a Pandora's box. And they've got hundreds and hundreds of vaccines. They call them vaccines. Again, for over a decade, I made documentaries about it, like brain-eating vaccines, just, you know, shocking name as it is shocking. It actually goes in and attacks areas of your brain. They're, quote, testing it on trips. A lot of them commit suicide after. There's a whole class of these. And then they have all these science fiction movies made before this about the government giving you shots of viruses that eat parts of your brain to reprogram you. They make movies like Bourne Supremacy. Well, that's one of them. It's the Bourne prequel, the latest one with the guy from Hurt Locker, the Bourne. It's the one where it goes back to where it came from, and they're using viruses to engineer the brain. That's what they're already doing. But it's not meant to make you a Superman where your brain doesn't have
Bourne Legacy?
Yeah, the Bourne Legacy. Thank you. It actually is to make you not be able to have those high emotional states of exultation, joy, sorrow, anger. They're all associated with the same area. All right, we're going to talk to Smitty in Missouri, is actually a Hillary Clinton supporter. Hey, look, they have like frowny faces now on the screens. I've never seen that before. They have emoticons on the call screen board. Can we document cam that? I love that. Smitty has a frowny red face. Uh-oh, racist. Is that making fun of Native Americans? Smitty didn't even know we were using that, but maybe it is. Maybe we got caught. Maybe. We're taking your phone calls and covering news at the bottom of the hour, and then we've got David Knight joining us on the one-year anniversary of the Bundy Ranch, the Fed standing down. Nico's in here actually aiming one of the cameras at the call board so that we can apologize on air for something we did. I asked for callers that disagreed, and John Harmon put on screen one of those emoticons. Is that what you call them?
Yes, sir.
They have different names with a red frowny face. I want people that disagree. Of course, that really means you're red face from blood in your face. You're angry. But actually, the Clorox is now apologizing that their beach bottle's white with their emoticon request. I'm serious. Brown bags are being banned. In Seattle, the name of blackbirds in Europe are being banned. So I'm calling for banning the word black itself. But also red can make fun of a Native American. And you can see Smitty up there on screen. So John Harmon, you're the one that did this. Let's get you on the audio line there, up there at the network taking the calls. Why did you do this? You may be arrested for this by Homeland Security for a hate crime. What are you thinking? I guess you're going to join with the Washington Redskins owner now and defend this?
I really do have to apologize just because I did make a mistake. I accidentally made a red-faced emo-con on the color screen, and I just don't want to offend any red-faced people out there. I'm so sorry.
Wait, but let me just
don't take me to camp.
Turn it to yellow. No, turn it to yellow.
Yellow? Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm going to do it right now. Turn it to yellow. But wait a minute. Like the song I sing when I was a kid, red, yellow, black, and white, we are all children in God's sight. That's racist, too. Wait, it's yellow. Go back. Yellow's racist. Okay, make it white. Well, wait, that'll offend white people. How about no faces, no art, no colors, no differences? I want gray faces. In fact, everybody should be painted gray and wear gray uniforms.
We'll be all the same.
That's liberalism, except for the elite flying around their giant jumbo jets. We can't have cars or air conditioning, but they can, right?
But we have to be completely fair. That's just, that's just the way it is.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Folks, we're getting to the bottom of this. We may have to cancel the show. Like Dr. Laura Schlesinger, it just may be all over. See, she should have never apologized, folks. She should have owned all that. I mean, this is just sick. This is sick, the mind control we live under. Smitty, we have changed the... What color as a Hillary supporter? How about green? She's like a witch. You know, I'm melting. What a world. What a world. In fact, will you cue up that? We're going to have Hillary Clinton on in a moment. Cue up the witch melting. That's Hillary. When she learns she's not going to get the nomination. Smitty, I'm told you're a real supporter of Hillary. Then we have Kyle, Mark, Schwana, Matthew, and others. Go ahead. You're on the air. Smitty.
Yes. I'm calling from University City, which is in St. Louis area.
Oh, my gosh. You're from a university? Does that mean you're intellectual? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You can make fun of me as much as you want before you bring me on the phone, you hateful man. Because here's the thing. If you have commercials on here that are predicting that the end of the world is weeks away, then that automatically discredits whatever you say.
Well, I halfway agree with you. I've actually asked the network that I don't want ads like that on my show, but the network kind of has open stuff on advertising, and so I actually agree with you. But and also local stations, I may not know what those ads are either. So I mean, if there's like an ad for Scientologist on, that doesn't mean I agree with the Scientologist. Do you understand how advertising works?
Well, you know what? I'm just going to get straight to the point because I
just annihilated that ad hominem attack. Yeah. Why don't you attack me for what I actually say?
Okay. How about this? You say that Hillary Clinton is a witch and that she's not going to be good for the United States. But right now I see that women, that homosexuals, the LGBT community, and that everybody else are getting ready to unite behind this strong woman, and you just can't stand it. As a white male who basically owns the entire world, you should be depopulated. Well, it's ridiculous. Hillary's going to win.
Hold on. Listen, you're a god, Smitty. You're a real caller, a real leprechaun, riding a rainbow unicorn with Keebler elves dancing, in your beard. Stay there. Don't hang up, Smitty. I want to give you the floor when you come back. You're so amazing. You're right. I don't oppose her because she's a criminal and wants my guns and is a globalist. It's all because I'm a white male. All the white males give her all the money, you twit. Don't hang up. Don't hang up. All right, let's see if Smitty won't be too shitty. Oops. Hey, we're talking to Smitty right now from Missouri. Smitty is a bona fide, and I can tell he's for real. This is truly a rare sight. Super rich globalist white men, Asian men, some Africans and Latin Americans are involved. But I mean, it is kind of a Euro-dominated thing. Robert Baron Rothschild. But again, it doesn't count if it's Jewish white men that are involved sometimes, too, because they can do no wrong. So I don't hate Jews. I just know there's some bad Jews out there. But according to liberals, no bad Jews on the planet ever. No bad blacks either. Only bad white European males. And I understand. I agree with Smitty on that front. So you said that white males should be depopulated. Listen, I was told that going to ACC, and I was about to go to UT, and I went and sat in on classes. Didn't matter what class it was, all taught by white people. It was all how white people were inherently bad, had to be bred out, were the only problem on the earth. So where'd you learn that? Did you learn that at university, Smitty?
Well, that's beside the point.
No. Tell me about depopulating white people.
Class ever.
Hey,
you wouldn't ever went to
let's go back. I know. I knew you would start with I never have been to your godlike college to be certified that I'm able to even speak like you and the amazing Randy. What I'm really getting at here is that I'm asking you a question. Tell us about depopulating white people.
Well, here's the thing. It's common knowledge that the earth is overpopulated. And it's also common knowledge that basically if you break it down, all of the follies of Western culture are the bread and butter of the white male, the elite white male who just wants to make everybody think and act exactly like him, brainwashed Christian, brainwashed religious zealots. It's ridiculous. And you can make fun of me all you want, and you can make fun of Asians and Indians and everybody else you want to, because that just makes everybody see right through you to what a hateful person that you really are.
So you really see right through me right now?
Yes, I absolutely do. You claim to, want to support humanity, but then when gays want equal protection under the law, or women want equal protection under the law,
are you gay, Smitty?
$0.77 per dollar.
Smitty, are you gay?
That's the point. It has nothing to do with my sexuality. See,
do you find me attractive, Smitty?
That is also beside the point.
Would you like me to flex?
It doesn't matter whether Actually, you know what, Alex? I really like those pictures that you sent out of you lifting weights. That was, I always thought that you were just some big fat redneck, but, you know, you kind of changed my mind with those. I wish that I would have met you back then. Then maybe I could have turned you away from the dark side.
Ah,
but,
I knew it.
Again, beside the point.
This is too good. I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. It's just such an archetype. I knew it'd be, I'm gay, you didn't go to the godlike college. I mean, is that all you got? And I'm racist. Dude, the Gardasil shot is meant to sterilize women. They're shooting the Mexicans up, sterilizing them. If I didn't like Mexicans, I'd be saying, take your Gardasil shots. I mean, you got to be kidding, man. I mean, you really think I'm racist, and you really think it's that if white males were gone, all our problems would be solved. Do you really believe that load of bull?
No, but I really believe that if everybody had true equality and there weren't a bunch of, you know, crazy people like you, Rush Limbaugh, and others.
Okay, wait a minute. Let's get serious here. You know, in India is over 1 billion people, and they've got hundreds of different factions all killing each other, and they all basically have the same genetics. Okay, I mean, the same thing in African countries. You know, people, like the Star Trek episode where one side's got blackface, the other white, the other group is their exact same genetics except for that, and they all kill each other. I mean, do you understand people will find a reason to kill each other? Blue hats, red hats. I mean, you know about that, right?
You don't think that the powers that be have been turning people like that against each other?
What do you think the Democratic Party does? Look, I'm not going to hang up on you. I got to play crazy like Alex Jones, as I said I would. I'm going to give you a few more minutes. I want to get your number because, well, we're going to be dating, you know. No, but seriously, I'd like to have you as a regular guest and other real supporters. In fact, if Democrats can prove to me they're Democrats and have been involved politically, send us your info. Men, women, doesn't matter. We'll have you on.
Hello, this is Hank Hill, and I'm telling you what, you need to listen to Alex Jones.
Yeah. Infowars.com.
He's the T-Rex of political talk. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
Let's just go through this stack right now. 21 pages of Obamacare tax instructions. IRS demands shared responsibility for payment and says it's in their prerogative, of course, whether they're going to start garnishing wages, grabbing bank accounts, or holding back tax returns. Of course, they promised you that wouldn't happen. This is a government under Obama that ships guns to the Mexican drug cartels. You think they're going to gang rape you? Oh, yeah. Everything is awesome. Everything is fantastic when you're part of a team. Everything is wonderful when you're part of the dream. Will the fact that Hillary is a lesbian have any bearing in the 2016 elections? I'm just wondering. I'm just throwing that out there as well. I can wear this as a leotard. I mean... 6X underwear. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. We're being invaded by South American walruses. It's ridiculous. The government is shipping in 42,000 people. They're bigger than Jabba the Hutt. This country is so screwed up, man. I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but it's reaching a proportion. If you're a radio listener, you can't see him. Oh my God, look at this. Oh God, I don't think I've ever laughed this hard on air. Oh my God, it's so ridiculous.
Alex Jones may sound crazy, but still has 300 million YouTube.
800 million,
well,
dummy.
He has 300 million people that have watched him on YouTube, and that sort of fringe, arch-conservative, deeply, I think, racist strain is being tapped into.
I just got called racist by MSNBC, and I wasn't hurt that they called me names myself. I was hurt that they were so evil, that they were such a pack of willful crooks preying on America with their trendy, non-threatening voices and ironic glasses, all meant by PSYOP generals to annihilate this country. So you traitors claiming I'm a Ruski agent, say it to my face and I'll break your nose. I'm sick of it. I will stomp your head in the ground, you traitorous maggots, while we go under Obamacare, North American Union, conquered by European banks, announcing our kids don't belong to us, total bondage, total surveillance, and you want to shoot your mouth off about me being a Ruski agent. I will stomp your head in the ground. It's the time of the season You get raped because you like to lay down. Yay, yay, yay. A nation of sheep will be ruled by what? Wolves. Oh, woofies. They do investigations and say, oh, there are no FEMA camps. Because they're not called FEMA camps. They're called Emergency Centers Establishment Act. They're called Civilian Inmate Labor Camp Program. They're called Rex 84, Continuity of Government under National Police Stabilization Force, RAND Corporation. I'm just giving you bam, 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 the plan.
In every tragedy, the InfoWars Alex Jones world thinks they see a conspiracy. Alex Jones should be disqualified from participating in Republican Party politics.
No one will go to the New York Times or care that it's even admitted that the government's hatching most of the terror plots. Or people will say, what are you doing? Endorsing radical Islam, saying it doesn't exist? I didn't say that. I said our criminal government is arming them, aiding and abetting them, protecting them to attack and kill us so they can take our freedoms. That's what I said.
His crackpot theories shouldn't prompt actual hearings in Congress, and they shouldn't inspire actual legislation in Congress, and you shouldn't do a money bomb on his show when you are running for Congress. Do not fundraise on this theater of the absurd by showing yourself to be one with this guy. Really.
It's too powerful. I wish we could go back to the days. I'm telling you, of you just get my satisfaction out in the street. You pick a sword or something else. You're going out in the street with me.
I don't want that man to have a gun. I wouldn't feel comfortable having an argument with him in his home where he had access to his 50 weapons. And if he got really mad at something I said.
I'm not kidding, you cowardly scum. I am sick of people like you. All right, I've got to settle down or I'm going to have to have David Knight come in here. I'm serious. But see, this is a normal response to being gang raped by criminals.
I want to be crazy, crazy like Alex Jones.
Oh, man.
And have a gumption without a presumption to know what's going on.
That was about 2 in the morning one time.
Then I can throw bananas at the global clowns and hear aristocratic moans.
Then we went shopping.
I want to be crazy, crazy like Alex Jones. I went looking one day on the internet just to see what I could find. When I heard this talk show maniac, he was proudly speaking his mind. It was real wild, but the more I heard, it made a whole lot of sense to me. I want to thank you, Alex, for opening my eyes and helping the blind to see. I want to be crazy, crazy like Alex Jones. And have enough gumption without a presumption to know what's going on. And I can throw bananas at the global clowns and hear aristocratic moans. I want to be crazy, crazy like Alex Jones.
Up and away!
The talk show host is Alex Jones. He's a conspiracy theorist. He's kind of like the guru, the king of the conspiracy theorists.
The TSA has a thankless job enforcing procedures we all tolerate through gritted teeth. A popular target.
No kidding. Who else wants a job groping men, women, and children all day?
All the talking heads on the TV screen with an arrogant sophistication. Talking about what's been.
Challenge Alex Jones to a boxing match. Show up with a semi-automatic that you got legally and pop him.
I'd love to see that. In uniform.
1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms.
I probably own more than 50 firearms. Many of them have increased in value 2, 3, or even 4 times. I sleep very comfortably.
One of the least attractive groups of demonstrators I've ever seen.
Then I can throw bananas at the global clowns and hear aristocratic.
I am David Mentrus.
Crazy, crazy like that.
To be quite clear, David Mentrus from the third.
Yeah, I want to be crazy, crazy like Alex Jones.
We'll be right back in Overdrive. Infowars.com. See you this Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. Central. Telemundo. Muchos gracias.
The Genesis Communications Radio Network.
Sorrow. All right, I got in a goofy mood earlier playing a clip of that, so we played the whole thing, and now I've got to stop and get serious for the balance of the hour. We have some epic information to cover. I'm trying to be serious with Smitty, calling in from Missouri, who is an actual Hillary Clinton supporter. Drum roll, please. Then we'll go to Mark, Shauna, Matthew, Kyle, and others who also say they're Hillary Clinton supporters. We'll see if they're serious or not, but I believe Smitty is serious. Go ahead now. Anything else you'd like to say, Smitty?
Yeah, thanks a lot for making me sit through that. That was just great. Yeah, that was you discredit yourself every time you put a sound clip on like that. So I encourage you to open up every show with that.
It's all about not caring about you people who don't set reality and aren't the gatekeepers, and we don't care. We transcend all your names and all your terms. We don't care. Go ahead, Smitty.
Can I talk now, or are you going to cut me off again?
No, I'm not. You're just all-powerful, Smitty. I'm just countering each point. Go ahead. I'll give you 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, here's the thing, and I'm going to tell you why I support Hillary. Again, I believe I said it, but then you played these sound bites, and I scrambled my brain. Anyway, let me get in tinfoil hat mode so I can talk to you. Basically, the reason why I support Hillary Clinton is because before Bill Clinton, 8 years of peace and prosperity. We've got Barack Obama. He started things, and he's got the ball rolling. We are so close to equality in this nation, and all you want to do is just sit there and say, socialism is going to deteriorate into communism. Actually, no, let me do it. Let me do it the right way.
Yeah, this here's Alex Jones. I got 50 firearms that I own legally, and I'm tough. I'm going to stomp your brains out.
You know, that doesn't work anymore.
I hates commies.
Yeah, exactly. Precisely. But actually, you should be saying, I hate gays. I hate blacks. Because that's what the thoughts that are
So
really
you agree with David Cross's movie where it ends with them saying, I hate everybody. I'm Alex Jones. I'm racist. It's true because you said it.
I've never seen that movie, sir.
Well, I played a clip of it. All right. I mean, the point here is you're saying the same thing, though.
Okay, well, I mean, ask me a question. What do you want to know? I told you, Hillary is going to bring unity. There's nothing that you can do to stop it, and I can't wait to see all your little tinfoil hat legions heads explode when it happens. I was driving today, and I saw somebody with an InfoWars bumper sticker, so I drove up alongside of them, and actually, surprisingly, it wasn't a big old monster truck, you know, driving all crazy and flipping people off like a crazed lunatic from a trailer park. And it was a black man sitting in there. I mean, talk about a joke. That's like, I couldn't even believe it. You're trying to tell me that there would actually be a black person who would listen to Alex Jones? What a joke.
Oh, my
Give me a break.
Okay. We're going to skip this network break to give callers more time. I think you're serious, and I think people listening to this, it shows what a warped brain you've got. What do you think about 52% of black people never being born in this country? You think I'm racist because I'm not for killing the black babies?
I think that that's an incorrect stat. I think that that's 52% of babies in New York City, first of all.
No, it's no. It's something like, I think it's 70-something% in New York.
You're going back on it.
No,
okay,
no, I'm not going back on it.
Go ahead.
It's 51 to 52% since Roe v. Wade in 1973, and in New York, I think it's 77%. Guys, Google 77% of babies aborted in New York City. You know, it's no. Well, listen. Let's just say it's 20%, which we all know it's over 50. Is there a targeting of blacks with abortion?
No, absolutely not. Just because the thing is that this is a horse and cart issue. The reason why there are abortion clinics in urban areas is because those are the most crowded, those are the most impoverished, and those are the people who need access the most. You don't need abortion clinics in the suburbs where all the right-wing lunatics live. You need them in the city where people understand that the population is, you know, overcrowded, and we're going to destroy the earth if we don't reverse climate change soon. Also, you're a denialist and a truther, and whatever else.
Let me give you the numbers.
So,
in 2012, the latest numbers we have, there were more black babies killed in abortion, 31,328 in New York City, than were born there, 24,758. So I think that's more like 55%. And the black children killed comprised 42.4% of the total number. Blacks are 30% of the population, and there were 42%. So there you go.
Okay, so again, back to my point.
So the answer isn't make these communities better and everything. The answer is just don't have black people around. That's because we love them?
No, you're going off on a racist tirade. You claim to be this great unifier who wants, you know, equality for all, and then you say, black babies are getting aborted.
Black babies. No, what you are is you're against anybody with a southern or western accent. And you think, again, so do you want me to speak with this accent for you? Does that make me sound more intellectual?
Actually, yes, it does. To be honest with you, I wish that you would.
Well, I appreciate your call then. Smitty, did you give us your number? Can we start having you on? I'd like to have you on via video Skype so that we might get an extra depth to your incredible repertoire of intellectual acumen. You have quite an armory of information that actually has us shrinking in fear from your incredible gravitas. Would you grace us with your routine presence?
Mr. Jones, I would be more than happy to show up anytime on your show and show mainstream America and show all these tinfoil hat-loving trailer park trash exactly what is reality. Because you have this false idea.
This is divide and conquer, though. You hate people in the South. You hate folks that live in trailers, even though it's the best housing they can get. You sit up there on your elitist high horse. You talk about how you've been to college, and I'm no one because I never even graced the halls, which isn't even true. It was like a brainwashing camp. I thought I was in the middle of Red Dawn Re-Education Center. I mean, almost my entire family are super successful and smart. You sit up there and just say, I'm no one because I have a Texas accent that I'm very proud of. I mean, is there a reason most of the top newscasters like Dan Rather and people come from Texas? The truth is, per capita, Texans, I don't care what color they are some of the most successful people worldwide and are sought after for executive positions across the planet. And why do you think that is? Because we're good, hardworking, loving, smart people. And you are an elitist wannabe. I mean, it's ridiculous, Smitty. So did you give us your number?
Absolutely, I did.
Okay, I want to hear from you more. And if you want to shoot YouTube reports attacking me, we'll probably air clips of it. I just want to make the short show more and more about those people. Because we need to hear from these whack jobs. All he kept saying was tinfoil, 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 tinfoil. It's like how would he debate me on a podium? Racist tinfoil. Tinfoil racist. And then I just have all these facts. Okay, let's go to Shauna in Kentucky. Shauna, thanks for holding. Is this a real call? Are you really a supporter of her lordship?
Yes, in fact, you've been mentioning Nico a lot, and I got 3 quick points. Nico, and then the Bundy Ranch and Jade Helm. But real quick on Nico, me and my daughter got an attack a couple years ago with CPS. It was unsubstantiated. He called us to talk to us, and he let me talk for a long time, Alex. And I can't even tell you how that helped me so much because we suffered such a horrendous attack. So I just wanted to thank him. We're going to be going to litigation. I don't want to say much more on the Clive and Bundy. I was reporting through allvoices.com on it, and then when Harry Reid got real upset and I was putting links to your site, they blocked me. And now they won't even let anybody just sign in. You have to actually send them samples of your writing. And then the last thing, if you go to YouTube.com, YouTube, and you look at my name, Shauna Sterling, there's a 19-second video on Jade Helm. Alex, I really think you'll like it. It exposes, and this is the last thing I want to say, that Jade Helm, Jadeh, spells jihad, according to the British Dictionary. The E, you know me, it's a numerical code. I put all the code on the website, and the 15, and the LM is for military law. I love you, Alex. I'll let you go.
Thank you so much. I remember your case and your call. Appreciate that. Mark in California listening on KOMY 1340 AM. Go ahead. Are you really a Hillary Clinton supporter?
No, but I have a Hillary Clinton story, a real-life story I want to pass on because those are the best. When she was First Lady, she had just come back from Red China, and I heard she was going to Danville. So I went up there to Danville, and I had a scripture sign that said, "Be sure your sin will find you out." So as she was going around shaking the children's hands, celebrating the Year of the Woman in Red China. Can you believe that? That's what it was called.
Well, it doesn't matter if you enslave women and make them have forced abortions as long as you say it's for women. See, you aren't for aborting Chinese women because you're anti-woman. See, Hillary represents women. You don't. Keep your mouth shut. Learn to worship her, hater. Sorry, go ahead. I'm just agreeing with Smitty.
So I stuck it right in her face, and it said, in Numbers, I forgot the verse, but it said, "Be sure your sin will find you out." And she ignored me, and we were like 10 feet, 15 feet away. And so because she remained silent and didn't engage in argument, I got outside where she got in her car and made a left turn out of the driveway. And again, I stuck it up in the air. This is right in the days when cell phones were starting to become popular. And she was on her cell phone in her left hand, and she turned to her left immediately after she read the verse, so she didn't have to read it. And and that's a fact, Jack. But I'm headed up to Sacramento, Lord willing, to talk with the governor, which is a long shot. I probably won't get to do that on the vaccination thing. What suggestion would you have for me to try and, influence the legislature? Is there a possibility of that happening from regular folks such as your listeners?
What, trying to stop the forced inoculation?
Yes.
Absolutely. Put incredible pressure on them and point out and get the news to cover what's in the inserts and the fact that this is tyrannical. God bless you. Appreciate your call. Do we got anybody really supporting Hillary? They're all sarcastic. Let's talk to Colin in Nebraska. You're on the air. Do you support, I guess, Lord and Savior Part 2? Because that's what Jamie Foxx. Actually, we do have the clip of Jamie Foxx. Let's play this first because they say Hillary will run on Obama's same platform, same race baiting. This time it'll be you don't like women. We just heard that talking point earlier. Let's play that clip.
First of all, giving honor to God and our Lord and Savior, Barack Obama.
Barack Obama! Yeah, that word. Barack, he actually makes me like Obama. It's like, yeah, Barack Obama, baby. Woo! Gonna screw us over. Sorry, Kyle, go ahead, Nebraska. I apologize.
So if you could just give me a full 50 seconds, and then you can go ahead and rebut after. Our Lordship Hillary Clinton is running for office. She's going for equality, and she's going for taking, people like Gaddafi out who are going against terrorists and having a rise up of Islamic militants in that area. And she's for having Syrian rebels and several illegal immigrants coming into our country so we can balance out the equality of Americans versus illegals, whom of which could be terrorists. And she's, of course, putting up, her principles for Monsanto, her backing for her lordship. And without these things, we cannot balance the good with the evil. And
well, that's right. I mean, that's exactly what the last caller said. Whites are evil, enter a problem, genocide them, even though he was white. Don't have kids, because he's obviously gay, that's his issue. But then it comes with the anti-gun, anti-family. I have to be exterminated by him. I can only survive if I agree to be with a guy and not have children. Literally, turn my guns in, and he goes, we will have equality. He means they're going to conquer me and conquer you by bringing in the voting bloc that's checkmate. And they know it. Battleground Texas has been caught on video going, yeah, look at that stupid cripple running for governor. He's going to lose. We're going to bring in so many illegals. Nobody can stop us. Sounds just like the Wicked Witch, man. I mean, these people know what they're doing. They're sick freaks. Go ahead.
There'll be too many illegals in the country to go against the trying to legalize the immigrants. That's why the Republicans cannot go against.
Well, they want the same thing. They're globalist. I mean, they want the cheap labor, drive down wages. But for the Democrats, the Democrats are a mentally ill group. And, we're in trouble. And, listen, this is how they bring countries down, folks. And they're doing it right now. I mean, we have failed Mexico and Guatemala just disgorging everybody, people with no jobs, welfare, people that are crippled, you name it, and just pay for it. But then if an old lady can't pay her taxes, they come and take her house. It's like, how about you? Okay, don't take the old lady's houses, stop all the repossessions and all that, then we'll bring the illegals up here. Oh, no. If you're an American, I don't care what color, you're going to get hammered. But if you're illegal, all this stuff's free, but only to incentivize them up here, be part of the new political class. Stay with us. Huge report on Bundy Ranch and more of your calls.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run.
That Crazy Like Alex Jones videos on infowars.com.
The GCN Radio Network.
It's video. Are you crazy like Alex Jones? Right now on infowars.com. Get it. Briefly, we have got great deals going on the 3 key nutraceuticals at infowarslife.com. The Oxy Powder, the Super Nascent Iodine, and, of course, the Super Male Vitality. All 3 of those together. I've lost over 60 pounds the last few years, as everybody knows. The side-by-side photos in just 45 days when I took it religiously, instead of just every other day or so, it was even faster. 6+ pounds came off, and the muscle increased stamina, you name it. These things all work synergistically together. Free shipping on those 3 items together. You can buy them individually and get free shipping. InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. And your purchase funds this operation as well. So I want to thank you all for your support. But you've heard the rave reviews. InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. Don't just count on us to always be here. We're able to build this because you buy the books, the videos, the water filters, the materials at InfoWarsStore.com and InfoWarsLife.com. We've only got a few minutes before we air this, then we'll come back, get some final comments from Josh Owens and David Knight, who 1 year ago today, at about this time, were leading with a march as journalists, the feds saying we're going to shoot you at the Bundy Ranch. It's over 1 million views on that video they got out that night. Just historic event, feds surrender to citizens. Feds forces surrender to American citizens is the name of the videos, right at 1.5 million views. Tens of millions of views in the aggregate, and here on this show. The point is it's getting out there. Harry Reid freaked out, called everybody terrorists, but he's the one who's fallen on his face now. He's the one leaving office now, and it really shows where things are going to go in the future when we have the moral authority, if they really want this civil war. David Knight, a minute or two comment, and then Josh Owens. You guys really were, and everybody there, heroes of something very important. This was the second shot heard around the world, but not redcoats firing, redcoats standing down.
Exactly, Alex. You know, it's great that we were there, but I think both of us were very upset to see how it was spin, the spin that came out of the media, the spin that came out of Harry Reid. We saw the people there. We know that they were not threatening the troops. It was the troops that were pointing guns at people, the troops that were shouting.
You heard them. They said, we'll shoot you.
Yeah, exactly. And as we point out in this video, you can see the Fox News guy thought he was going to be shot as well. He's holding his camera, but he's lifting up his shirt saying, don't shoot, you know. So, I mean, there's plenty of evidence. You can see it there. You can also see the people are not pointing guns. Most of the people there didn't have any
They had
guns.
one guy up on an overpass that looked really suspicious with
That's all they showed the entire time.
Very provocative, very stupid.
Exactly.
Just like the feds pointing guns. Very provocative, very stupid.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's very key. And, of course, they had a party this last Saturday. It took place on a Saturday. They had a big barbecue. So you see Salon coming out saying, this is what white supremacy looks like. The Bundy Ranch has a party 1 year after the fact because the feds stood down. But meanwhile, in Charleston, they're shooting a black man in the back. So they make it racial. This was nothing
but
at all.
That cop's been indicted.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we talk about
we got black cops shooting black guys and vice versa, and white cops beating up white guys and shooting them. I mean, it's just, there's an out-of-control police culture in some areas, but it's not racial in my view.
Absolutely. And they also take the Southern Poverty Law Center attack, and they try to connect in Jared Miller, the guy who later, a couple of months later, shot a couple of cops in Las Vegas, making it look as if he was there. You know, this was part of the Bundy revolution. And, of course, it wasn't. They ejected him out of their midst. And that's one of the points I make in the video, is that unlike Ferguson, where you had outside provocateurs come in, looting and burning buildings, they had their own people there. That
we're going to break this down after the video with some final comments. But, Josh, we got about a minute, so we got to go to this video. What's your take 1 year later?
Well, I can't believe it's been a year. Time flies. But like he was saying, I mean, even with the Jared Miller stuff, remember when that came out, when that happened, when they were draping the bodies in Gadsden flags, I went back and looked at my footage, and I went through, and all of the militiamen, all the people that were there, I got video of every single one of them, and they weren't there. But they tried to act like they were there. They tried to act like they were almost like they were leading it. Like, look at what these people did at Bundy Ranch. No, people didn't die that day, but look what they did, you know, however long after, when Jared Miller and Amanda.
They gave an interview to somebody that was there, but they got him out of their midst. That's the key thing. And they were actually better at policing it. If you want to say this is a straight up shot with this guy, they got him out of the area.
Look, I think the whole thing was suspicious.
Exactly.
I think, and we're going to break that down. That's the folks that went in the Walmart and shot the cop.
Yeah, yeah.
And then one other.
So if you want to say that he really was somebody looking to shoot cops and he wasn't Patsy or part of it, then they.
Sure, well, we're going to break that down. We're going to the video right now. Here's a special report.
Sheriff, this is what we the people are asking this morning. Disarm the Park Service.
We're faced with a decision to either get the cattle or be the cattle.
But we're staying here until they're gone.
We want those arms picked up, don't we?
Yeah! The crowd is now moving forward toward the barrier. The police have been telling everybody they're going to shoot if we don't move back.
As we approach the 1 year anniversary of the standoff at the Bundy Ranch, I want to take another look at what happened, especially in light of the lies and slander from media like Glenn Beck and the dangerous characterization by Obama, Harry Reid, Homeland Security that labeled the community standing together against brutality as domestic terrorists. On April 7th, 2014, Paul Joseph Watson wrote an article, Armed Feds Prepare for Showdown with Nevada Cattle Rancher, with the subtitle, Ruby Ridge-style standoff brewing as Bundy says he's prepared to be killed. The property rights dispute had been going on for decades, but now things were beginning to come to a head. Hundreds of federal officials, aided by helicopters, low-flying aircraft, hired cowboys, began rounding up Bundy's cattle the preceding weekend as Bundy accused them of trespassing. And as supporters from the local community and protesters headed to the area to demand that the feds back off, the BLM had created a First Amendment area out in the middle of nowhere where demonstrators could voice their concerns, but nowhere else.
This area right here, the small area here, was cordoned off with orange temporary like construction barriers marked for free speech zone. It just shows you how quickly your free speech zones can disappear. When you allow them to be contained to a very small area, it's gone. But we're here and we want to tell the BLM something about how upset we are with what's going on here, but there's no government agency here to listen to us. That's the whole reason you don't confine people to remote areas from what's happening.
Not only had the federal agents been confiscating Bundy's cattle, they had also set up agents with sniper rifles, pointed at the ranchers, pointed at the protesters. The crowd had been building throughout the week, and on Saturday there was a huge crowd. To defuse it, the sheriff came in the morning to address the crowd and tell them that the powers that be had graciously consented to allow the last rancher remaining in business in the area to continue grazing. Never mind that he had had most of his cattle rustled by the army of BLM contractors for the past several weeks.
With that being said, I believe a press release has already been put forth that the BLM is going to cease this operation. The Gold Butte allotment will be reopened to the public.
Much to the surprise of the sheriff, Bundy said that wasn't good enough.
The sheriff, this is what we the people are asking this morning. Disarm the Park Service.
Right. Yeah.
And Lakemead and Red Rock Park and all other parks that the federal government claims they have jurisdiction over.
Yeah.
Take your county bulldozers and loaders and tear down the entrance places, where they ticket us and where they enter us and make us citizens pay their fees. You take down you get the county equipment out there and tear those things down this morning.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
What they wanted was for him to exercise his authority as the only lawful law enforcement in the area and to disarm the BLM agents and contractors who had been pointing their sniper rifles at the protesters and ranchers, confiscate their weapons, tell them to leave the area, and then stack the weapons on stage. Bundy gave him 1 hour to do so. At the end of the time limit, Bundy announced that it looked like the sheriff wasn't going to do anything. No one was surprised. But what did surprise us and surprise the federals was his announcement.
I guess he's not coming, so I guess we had presents. We thought we had a sheriff here, but evidently we don't have a sheriff here. We're going to go and take the rest of them out of the compound trails up here above the freeway.
I was one of the first ones to get down to the area where the standoff would occur.
Okay, people are now moving. They stopped for prayer.
They had vehicles, they had guns that were pointing at us, and they had shields. And they had a loudspeaker that was announcing that they would shoot if we did not leave the area. The only mainstream media that was in attendance was one cameraman from Fox News. He desperately wanted to get over to the BLM and interview them, but he was scared to death, as you can see in this video, that they were going to shoot him. He kept announcing that he was with Fox News. He pulled up his shirt to show that he wasn't armed. They kept telling him to go back. They did not want him to come to interview them. They were in a fighting stance. They had 80 different cars, each of them with just one BLM agent.
Now, it's a standoff. I've got a count of 107 vehicles.
107, okay.
Going on the road. And, the thing of it is all 107 of those vehicles were armed with armed army.
Yes.
That always fascinated me.
Absolutely.
Why would the State Highway Patrol allow an army like that onto their highway? And then why would that army be able to pass through the city of Mesquite without, any resistance, through the state of Arizona without any resistance, through the port of entry into Utah without any resistance, and that army disappeared in the state of Utah, and not one media, no question. That army went across the United States without one question asked.
An army of BLM agents, 107 cars of armed men. This is exactly what the Posse Comitatus Act prohibits. It's not just a prohibition of the military being used for law enforcement. Understand that Posse Comitatus is Latin for power of the community. The Posse Comitatus Act prohibits the president from usurping the true Posse Comitatus, the true power of the community, with his own posse of armed federal agents. There were clear distinctions, too, from Ferguson and other places where we've seen protests about a government that's out of control. In Ferguson, businesses in the community were destroyed and burned. As InfoWars has pointed out, in Ferguson, these looters were coming from outside of the community. They were not the core protesters. And, of course, the same thing could have happened at Bundy Ranch. I believe the reason that it didn't was because the militia threw out people who were dangerous or provocateurs. People like Jared Miller, who later shot 2 cops in Vegas. But rather than give the militia credit for expelling people like Jared Miller, the media used it to demonize them. Another difference about the Bundy Ranch was that there was a clear, achievable objective. The people were peaceful, but they were determined.
The police have been telling everybody they're going to shoot if we don't move back. People are moving forward with their hands in the air, holding flags with both hands in the air. It's a mixture of people on foot, as you can see, people on foot, and cowboys.
It's epic to see this in HD.
Those pins, but it's only going to be Bundy and his son. That's it.
It's the people or not, and you guys need to leave.
Okay.
You need to leave. That's the
and I'm telling you, you need to de-escalate the situation.
No,
I'm imploring upon you to de-escalate.
Listen.
Listen.
You are on Nevada State property.
Okay.
And it's time. No,
there's a time
is now.
We're doing that.
No, the
but
time
you need to push these people back so they can do the same. Push them back so they can do the same.
Leave. Cattle coming in 30 minutes, but we're staying here until they're gone. Okay? That's what we're doing.
I can back some of these guys up if you promise they won't run me and my partner down.
Whatever you tell us to do.
All right.
As long as it's not to compromise this mission, we will do. You have authority.
All I ask you to do is just hang tight.
Okay. So we're all right where we're at? Okay.
Yes.
This is 1776. No, it's not.
That's right. What happened, what we call the Boston Massacre, was an angry mob. You can call them a bunch of drunk rowdies. It's just like guys that like barroom brawls. I just love being in a fight. There's guys like that. They're belligerent. They'll fight anybody.
We were misrepresented by powerful voices.
So these people who hold themselves out to be patriots are not. They're nothing more than domestic terrorists.
We rode over there. We didn't come charging, guns a-blazing. We were not armed. There were a couple of cowboys that had rifles in their boots, their saddle boots. There was 1 or 2 riders that may have had a sidearm on their persons. None of them drew them from their scabbards, from the boots.
I know Glenn Beck wasn't there, but he can see from the videos taken by the people who were there that nearly all of the people at the standoff were not armed, and those that were had them holstered, even as the bureaucrats, all of whom were armed, pointed weapons and threatened to shoot. People with no guns in their hands, marching in defiance to troops threatening to shoot them. That was in the spirit of Gandhi and Martin Luther King. But let us not forget that it was Gandhi who said, among the many misdeeds of British rule in India, history will look upon the act of depriving a whole nation of arms as the blackest. Whether or not you agree with Cliven Bundy's position on his grazing rights, everyone should be appalled at the conduct of the BLM, its agents, and its hired contractors. Free speech containment areas, government snipers pointed at protesters and ranchers for weeks, violent, brutal confrontations with peaceful protesters, all manifestations of a government that is dangerously out of control. The Bundy standoff wasn't just a news event. What we saw with the showdown was that there are still Americans that won't be treated like slaves. There are still Americans that will stand with their neighbors against an army of federal bureaucrats and contractors that threaten and brutalize them. What we covered in the rural West was a government out of control and acting provocatively, as we would see again in just a couple of months in Ferguson. Unlike Ferguson, the crowd would not turn into a mob attacking its neighbors, burning their businesses. The community stood together with each other resolutely and in a determined way made it clear that they were not looking for a fight, but they weren't going to back down either. What the Bundy family and their neighbors demonstrated to the nation was that power truly lies with the community, and that when the community stands together, neighbor with neighbor, against a violent and brutal government, the thugs will back down and slink away. Unlike Glenn Beck and Obama, Thomas Jefferson would have approved of what happened at the Bundy Ranch standoff. He wrote in 1787, "What country can preserve its liberties if its rulers are not warned from time to time that his people preserve the spirit of resistance? Let them take arms." For InfoWars Nightly News, I'm David Knight.
Well, that is just an A-plus job, better than anything you'll see on Vice, you name it. And I'm not in competition with things like Vice. This is so historical for everything you just pointed out and more, David Knight, Josh Owens, who were there. My dream to build InfoWars, to have the reporters and the crew to be able to cover things like this. Their attempt to demonize it, it failed. They even got the fake right to get involved in demonizing it. Didn't work. The truth is people saw the dogs being set on women and people being told they couldn't even have free speech zones finally in the desert. People knew this was totalitarianism. So over 1,000 folks at once showed up. They were tired of snipers aiming guns at them. They shot a kid 50 miles away in the back on his bike. You try to go out in these rural areas where there's not even a building or a person for 60, 70 miles, and you'll be out in the middle of nowhere. And you'll look over, and it'll be an armed BLM person going, "What are you doing?" Mm-hmm. And you'll be like, "I'm just sitting here with my friends out here in the middle of nowhere." And you're there, totally legal, lawful. They want us off of it. And they've been running these people off who've been using this land under common law. But see, Bundy knows the law. He knows about port of entry into states. He knows that just 20, 30 years ago, cops wouldn't let the feds come through without authorization. Now they're just here, dominating us, breaking our will. They're not even feds. They're run by foreign banks. Just like Tony Blair's in the news yesterday going, "Yeah, we appoint leaders in Europe now. We're going to do it in other countries." They're just hiding it in plain view, just appointing the leaders. I want to finish up with you guys and then go to Matthew and others that are patiently holding. But this is such a big deal now with the forced inoculation news and the IRS taking people's bank accounts that don't get the Obamacare news, or people that can't even get the Obamacare having their wages garnished. All this is being announced. This is classical tyranny. You don't have to be a political scientist to recognize it. It's so scary, and it's just getting started. And what this tells the feds and the occupiers, the globalists, is when you do this stuff in the future, people aren't scared. If you're ready to start shooting us, just like Bunker Hill, Lexington, Concord, go ahead and do it. Okay, our guns are at our sides. They're on our backs. You're threatening to shoot us. We have the loudspeaker. You can barely understand it, but you were there. Everybody reported they said it. They admitted they said it. We're going to shoot. We're going to shoot. You march up just like the end of V for Vendetta. They don't shoot. It's that moment. And I guarantee you, most of those military guys and the creepy contractors and the rest of it, I guaranteed were like, why are we out here killing some guy's cows? Yeah. Why? I guarantee you they weren't ready to die for this either. And so it came that moment of chicken. They backed off. It freaked the gangsters out like Harry Reid. And they didn't understand when they blow up federal buildings and blame it on us, or shoot a few cops and then blame it on some loons that are obsessed with, superheroes and stuff and in denialism. We're not going to buy you blaming us. We're not here to be enslaved. We're not here to be cannon fodder in your Civil War. We don't want a physical war. But when push comes to shove, it's over. And if they would have massacred the people out there, it would have caused the revolution from our angle. No amount of false flags would have won. That's why they didn't want to have the revolution there and backed off. They want to have false flags to say we launched the revolution by blowing up daycare centers. Guaranteed they'll pick a place with kids, theme park, you name it. They're going to blame us. We have Democratic internal memos, that even Fox News has covered about terror attacks to blame the left, the libertarian movements, the right wing, the classical liberals. And so that's the game plan. Josh Owens, a few minutes on your take on all this.
It's almost unbelievable to see that footage again a year later. I almost forgot how the immensity of that day. How many people were out there? And I mean, even watching the video and remembering back to what happened, I honestly saw one guy that was in that video, one guy who had a gun on his side. That was the only gun that I saw out there the whole time. But the point is that what was going on out there was such a big deal. And it was a culmination of what had been going on for the past couple of days.
Well, these were real Americans. And the truth is, we're not scared to die. We're sick of it.
Right. Well, I mean, even one night we drove out. We drove out in the middle of the desert. It was dark in the middle of the desert. We saw lights on the side of the road. And when we pulled over is when we saw the Bundy's family, the woman who had been thrown on the ground. Her knees were scraped, bloody. The brother who had been shot with a
Cops showing up on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere going, you can't stand with an American flag in the middle of the desert. I mean, while the borders are wide open, while the illegal aliens can get free health care, do whatever they want, fine. Then let us stand in the desert. No, no, no. Harry Reid's taking this to give it to the Chinese government. Go ahead, sorry.
Right, and people had had enough, and that's what happened. It was the culmination of everything that had happened that day. And it's just unbelievable to watch it when you saw Cliven Bundy say, you know, tear down the kiosks, hand in the guns, and that sheriff was literally shaking. He was standing there shaking. And he didn't.
That's because he knew that people were ready. If they had attacked anybody, then it would have been boom. Oh, man.
But it was, Alex, it was just like Josh was saying, people who had had free access to this area, not just for cattle grazing rights, which was a...
This was like the real movie Open Range about to happen with Kevin Costner. Great movie.
Yeah.
I mean, this was really about to happen.
Well, you know what it also reminded me of was, of course, the Berlin Wall, where people were finally fed up enough with it that they just marched en masse and defied the people to shoot them. Lavoy Finicum, the guy that we had there briefly, the Arizona rancher who came over, one of the things we didn't have in that video was he said, we rode in there on horses because you're not going to taser a man on a 1,200-pound animal. You're going to have to shoot him off. And he was willing to be shot off. He didn't go in there carrying a gun. They went in there, they prayed about it before they went in, and they very calmly, as you can see, they didn't go in there guns a-blazing. They weren't yahoos like David Barton was saying. They weren't itching for a fight. They just wanted
these are the
guys to go
opposite.
away.
I mean, these are the opposite of people like that.
Exactly, exactly. Very calm, very organized. They got the agent provocateurs out of their midst, and they walked very calmly up there and made their demands. They had something that they wanted. They had one thing that they did get, which was the cattle back, and actually they got the BLM out of that area. I'm sure they're going to be back, but they got them out for the time being. That was the other thing that they wanted.
This scared the globalists to their very core.
Yeah.
And it's made them recalculate everything. And I'm just going to tell Harry Reid, the Clintons, Obama, and the globalists behind him, George Soros, do not pull new Oklahoma cities. It's not going to fly. And you know that in your gut. I know you got where you are because of chutzpah and arrogance and thinking you're invincible, but you're not invincible. You understand, you rat piece of garbage? You got away with all that Nazi collaborated when you were 14. You're not going to get away with this. And final words on that. I'm going to go to Overdrive and go to Matthew and others.
This year, it's not Harry Reid, but it's John McCain. And it's not Nevada, but it's Arizona. And what he's doing is he's taken this massive area that was part of an Indian reservation. It was part of a national park. It was an historical monument. They've turned it over to a foreign corporation to mine the copper. And when they're finished with it, it's going to be a crater that will be visible from space. They're going to completely destroy the area. So it's got all these different aspects to it. I mean, you could say that it's like Yellowstone, Gettysburg, and Bethlehem all tied together because there's some religious significance there to the Indians. This was set aside in 1955 by Eisenhower.
And what's worse is they're going to use a legitimate thing, you know, like land there, illegitimately take it to demonize Republican moves that are good, to give some of the public land back to the states for the people in areas that are by the towns and things. Then this power grab will be used to discredit legitimate federal lands going back to the people. That's how they run these operations. Amazing. I know you'll be covering it more on the nightly news tonight. Who's doing the news tonight?
I am.
Good. Yeah, that's what I thought. 7 o'clock Central. We're going to Overdrive, Infowars.com/show to find the free feeds. By the way, Don Salazar has an important article up, but I can tell you that it's on record they do this, where they have the nurses threaten you and say it's the law or threaten to take your kids, stuff like that, when there is no law. Ahead of them actually trying to pass these laws. Lawsuit. Nursing student claims college instructed them to threaten patients into receiving vaccines. A cop threatens dog owner with $750,000 fine over missing dog posters. Can't make that up. Video. Are you crazy like Alex Jones? And the big story. Chemically castrate men who harass women, says feminists. And they go on to say that we should be publicly executed. So just saying, in fact, the Army's now basically telling guys how to not catcall women, that it's basically rape. That's what women do to men. And I mean, back when I was like 18, 20, 22 years old, I'd have women pull up beside me in my car and say, where are you going, good looking? Well, I mean, what am I do? Like call the police on them? I was like, well, Yeah, let's pull over right over here and let's talk about it. Let's go out to dinner tonight. I mean, that's what mammals do. Like a female deer likes a male deer, and they kind of circle around, smell each other a little bit. I mean, we do a little bit more sophisticated courtship. They're making normal human activity rape. And then projecting on it, horrible video I saw of out in Florida, and a spring break, and the woman's passed out, and the men rape her. I mean, stuff like that's disgusting. But that's the whole party culture. That's not normal men and women's interaction. Matthew in South Carolina, you're on the air. Welcome.
Hello, Alex. How are you?
I'm all right, brother. What do you think about Hair Hillary?
Hail Hillary! You will worship the mother goddess and suckle at the tit of socialism.
It's not even socialism. Suckle at the fetid mammary of the disease New World Order, Globotron, human extermination program, vandalism for Satan's simple pleasure.
Smitty has inspired me.
Lord Smitty.
You got to get that dude to do like a debate with like Biggs or somebody, like one on like.
What about Lord Smitty to you trailer trash?
Yes, I'll worship Lord Smitty. Actually, I'm calling because I'm in South Carolina, and Trey Gowdy's my representative. I've talked about this before with you, and honestly, I think maybe the only thing that's probably going to railroad Hillary's run is maybe going to be the Benghazi investigation that Gowdy is still, going after.
But I mean, she's really in trouble because of the Brian Williams thing, because she told the exact same type of lies about Bosnia and being shot down, or bullets flying around. I mean, she really is rotten, and they want a better puppet. So even the power structure doesn't kind of want her because they just know that the left doesn't even like her. But I'm telling you, they may try to force feed her to us, and it's disgusting. Matthew, I'm going to jump and get one more if I can. Mary in Illinois, thanks for holding. Sorry to the others. Mary, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hello, Mr. Jones. It's really awesome to talk to you.
Awesome to talk to you.
Thank you very much. I have like a paragraph that I wrote down that speaks to the imposed isolation of technology and everything.
Now it dehumanizes us. Sure, go ahead.
Okay. I believe in a free market libertarianism and localized agriculture, but I definitely recognize a palpable political, economic, or environmental, bioengineered strangulation that I realize is imposed upon the citizenry.
Yep.
And I know all the listeners do and everything, or else they wouldn't continue to listen to your brave and truthful everything. Okay. In our current technological, technocratic, illusory world, the mantra that silence is safety is pressure cooked into our minds and behaviors, resulting in numbness, inaction, and obsolescence. Therefore, the war on information is more important than ever. We who are sentient, awake humans must spread awareness to the spellbound populace and dethrone the banksters and take back human nature and the earth as soon as possible in the name of peace and prosperity. So I beseech you, Mr. Jones, to please use your knowledge, bravery, and truth for good, and lead or organize petitions or peaceful protests to catalyze the dethroning.
It's a great idea and beautiful words, sweetheart. I mean, silence is death is what I think you're saying.